when Dr. Alam spoke about organizing this conference as well as the research workshop in IIP Delhi, by IIP Delhi, I was quite excited about it. Let me tell you, I am only 4 months old in this organization. On 12th November 2022, the government decided to give me additional charge of IIP. It is a difficult and onerous task, as I have come to know now. But I'm giving it my best. So without talking too much about myself, I want to tell you that the world of packaging, the kind of dimensions there are and the kind of complexities one has to encounter, I am getting to know about them, and heading an organization like IIP, which is a national body under the Commerce Ministry, Government of India, with 6 other offices across the country. It has given me opportunity to understand what exactly needs to be done, what are the potentials. So therefore, in that light, I am on a spree rather to get into some kind of agreements, memorandum of agreement we have signed with Kerala government last month. And with the Sikkim government, we are in the process of establishing something, because I am of a firm belief that packaging is a very, very important part of the international and domestic value chain. If India has to achieve progress on the path of economic growth, the role that the packagers of the country will play will be very, very important. It is not understood normally by a common man or woman, but once you understand what exactly the consumer wants in India or abroad, the first interaction of any consumer with anything that you consume will be with the packaging. We never look at it from that perspective. And the kind of value addition the packaging can do to the products that you manufacture. I'm not trying to increase the profits of the corporations or something, but in the end, a corporation which is functioning or a company which has been established, it has a profit motive. So there, if the resources are utilized to maximize the revenue earned, that will sustain the growth of the company as well as its employees, and the kind of experience that the consumer gains out of a proper packaging experience, that adds to the aesthetics of it, the sustainability of it, and the overall perspective changes of the whole experience. So one is a high-end kind of packaging, the other is the low or medium kind of packaging. All three are important because there are strata of consumers of all kinds. And therefore, what I would be requesting the fraternity of packaging is to come out with solutions which help the economy and the last man in the line, as Gandhiji said. The point is that the resources are limited, and those resources have to be utilized in such a manner that the cost of transportation, the safety involved of the goods which are being transported from the factory or the place of manufacture to the place of storage and the place of consumption, this process has minimum damage, because studies have indicated that in the international trade itself, roughly 10% of the goods suffer some kind of deterioration, and that leads to losses for the mankind. I'm talking a very lofty kind of sentence speaking, but the point is whatever is a loss to the humanity in that sense, because that cannot be used in the sense it was supposed to be used. So from that point of view, if our storage capacity has to be utilized well, then the transportation and the packaging thereof of food grain, let's say the basic requirement of humankind is food grains. So if the packaging is done well while the goods are being transported from the farm to the warehouse or storage, and from there to the consumers in a proper fashion, so that there is no mold, there is nothing which hampers because the humidity or during transportation or the temperature during transportation, that should not end up disturbing the ability of a consumer to utilize it well. The non-vegetarian things that are being transported, there viruses can come in by some form. And therefore, the future of packaging will depend on how we are able to control the damaging factors at the least cost. So in that sense, from our perspective, what I'm looking at, I know it's a temporary association of mine with the packaging world, but I will be keeping track of your movements in future also, just being part of you. So what I expect is that some kind of packaging material revolutions would take place. The kind of packaging that we are doing, that is a plastic packaging, although single-use plastic is banned now, and that has to have an impact on the way we function as a packaging industry. But the point is, the plastics, non-single use itself is not the end of the world. The kind of fiber-based plastic, the packing materials that you can manufacture, if some research can be done in that direction, which is creating packaging materials which are biodegradable, that will help the packaging industry becoming sustainable in the long run. The whole world is looking at every process involved with manufacture and consumption with a fine-tooth comb. And in that sense, it is very, very important for us to understand that run-of-the-mill or doing whatever you have been doing till now in the last 30, 40, 50 years, whatever is your working life so far, will not really help us. What is going to happen is all this plastics and all that leading to the marine pollution. You may be aware every second breath that we take, that is an oxygen which comes from the oceans. So if the marine pollution, plastic pollution takes place, I just read the newspaper while coming from Bombay in flight yesterday, that there is off the coast of Brazil, plastic rock has been discovered. Plastic pollution in the ocean and off the coast of Brazil impacted the rocks there, and the rocks are now made of plastics. And that's a massive thing basically. If our plastics are entering the ocean and they are not being cleaned somehow or going to the bottom of the ocean and somehow disturbing the marine life, aquatic life and so on, that's a wake-up call for us if we needed one. So what I'm asking you to think about is that run your businesses, do it well, but remember that unless you move in the sustainable plastic packaging, sustainable packaging direction, it will be very difficult for us to, in the next 20, 30, 40 years when the temperature goes up further, to really hold our head high, as they say, when you hang your boots, some of you. So the kind of talking points that were given to me, I don't really look at them. I'm telling you what I expect from the packaging industry, and in that, the people who are joining the industry now as the professionals who have earned a degree from IIP or wherever, or who are intending to do so, they have a major role to play. And I urge all of you to think about it and do some research in that direction. The Asian Packaging Federation representatives are here. My best wishes to them, and I compliment them for having this one-to-one, because I have had some meetings with you, but that was on a video conference. So I'm very happy meeting you yesterday evening during the dinner, and today as well. I will be part of the conference and deliberations. I intend to be here through the day so that I soak in everything that the intelligent people have to mention about packaging. I'm very keen that my contribution to you is as a facilitator. So talking about my institute, we are trying to expand our role, and therefore going to the various corners of the country, opening new kind of facilities everywhere. Because testing is one area which gives us revenue, but what is important is the training of the young professionals. They need to be given the right kind of education, with the right kind of experience with the industry and on the machinery. So that is one role which I want to fulfill in a more appreciable measure. It's a difficult task, but I look forward to any kind of suggestions from the industry and other participants who want to make Indian Institute of Packaging a better institute. Because when the name Indian is added to it, it adds to the gravitas of the institution. and that's a tough responsibility on your shoulders. So that's what I want to mention to you. Yesterday, the event was Packaging 3S, which has gone off very well. I could not attend it because I had some meetings in the Commerce Ministry. So I wanted to attend, but I could not come. So I'm sorry on that account. The institute is geared towards providing you the best kind of services. We are a service industry if you are training, and we are providing testing service. And R&D is one area where I am seeing that we have not done very well so far, although some patents are there with IIP, but they are not substantive. So I would look forward to the faculty and other people involved with IIP to be deeply associated with any kind of research opportunity that is there. We have got some leads on that. The IIP Delhi has done some work on the one district, one product packaging. So these are small steps. I am looking at something path-breaking, and I hope that this research conclave has some ideas where we can take them forward. And I'm very, very happy that you are here in such large numbers. And I hope to see you end of the day, because it's going to be a tough day listening to things. So I wish you all the best to the organization, Dr. Tanveer Alam and his team, and to all the gentlemen who have come. Mr. Chakravarti, and I'm very bad at remembering names, so kindly pardon me. I just don't remember names. Mr. Chakravarti's name is very unique, so I remember that with great difficulty. Okay, so I want to stop here so that others who have more substantive things to speak can speak. So I wish you all the success, and in case of any suggestions, you can always get back to me. I'm here throughout the day. We can speak offline today or online some other day. And the dignitaries who have come from a foreign country, I wish them a safe journey back home after enjoying the great country that India is. I want to end with the speech of the quotation from Gandhi ji, father of our nation, who said that the earth has enough for every man's need, but not enough for any man's greed. So we have to remember that since you have been capable enough to come here and to participate in this, you have a bigger responsibility to fulfill. I am just asking you to be alive to that kind of responsibility and serve well. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
They are highly benefited by the same. I now request and invite Dr. N.S. Rathore to address the gathering.
Respected Mr. Saab, Dr. Tanveer Alam, both respected ladies and all our participants. At the outset, I would like to congratulate Indian Institute of Packaging for doing this initiation and organizing this conference. In fact, as far as the packaging is concerned, a different type of a learning is required. And it is more adaptive learning, more personalized learning. A different type of surveillance is required. Whenever we are talking about packaging of a food material, agriculture product, we need a different type of surveillance so that its quality should be maintained in due course of time. It is a different type of blending learning is required here. It is not a simple that your small skill will serve your purpose, but as far as the packaging is concerned, a different type of a blending learning means a more hands-on training and more research orientation is required, as Dr. Mishra has also mentioned. Here a different type of a research aptitude is required as far as the research and development in packaging is concerned. As a professor, I am always giving this input to my student that it should revolve around the word so-called faith, F-A-I-T-H. F means a frontier area of packaging. Let us identify not only material, but form, structure, and all frontier area you will have to deal. And accordingly, you will have to find out that which one is a appropriate and right type of solution for your material to be kept for a longer duration. A means a different type of academia industries interface oriented research is required in present context as far as the packaging is concerned. It is most of the many industries people are working in this field, and I can see that you all belongs to some organized sectors or multinational company, those who are responsible for design and development of packaging. So all teaching institute and like IIP, they should also maintain a right licensing with these industries, and a different type of interface, academia and industries interface is required. I word in faith gives an impression a innovative research. We are supposed to add a extra thing, innovation in packaging. It is not a simple wrapping a plastic over your product and then you will be safe. It has got a different type of a calculation. As far as the T is concerned, technology enabled. I have seen when I was moving around it that if few persons are working towards artificial intelligence and as far as the digital learning is concerned, that is also more important. It is your more responsibility to identify few more partners. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Please put your hands together for Dr. N. Rathore. Thank you for your support, for your time. Kindly keep the applause going. Thank you so much.
Dr. Mishra, for joining us, taking the flight from Mumbai, despite his busy schedule, he's agreed to spend the whole day with us. But I have an objection to believe that he has just joined us 4 months ago, because the way he spoke, it showed in-depth understanding of our packaging fraternity, our variants, and what is expected of packaging. So we are really glad to have you as our head. And as he rightly spoke, that when we have the name Indian attached to our institute, it adds a huge responsibility. So we hope to progress, expand, and do something very sustainable, not only for our generation, but for all the generations to come under his leadership. Thank you very much, sir.
Win Moller and Holster Private Limited. Mr. Ashwin Heber, Sales Director, Rossini, India. Mr. Sudarshan Kolhatkar, Director, Training and Development, Signod India Limited. Join us from BIS. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please welcome all the panelists on stage? I now hand over the session to session chair, Mr. Sanjay Bhatia, for further proceedings.
Six of them, I think some 2 sessions have been combined as I understand. So a lot of responsibility. So but what is the timeline, Dr.
20 minutes. 20 minutes for the entire session.
I am okay. So I'll be very happy to do that. But let us say, I mean, we justify 15 minutes and leave some time each, 15 minutes each. And so accordingly, I'll just give a call in case anyone exceeds 15 minutes. So my request would be to kindly see that, keep that, and give time for more interaction. So rather than more of the presentations, I think that's the way we will go. So let me first of all invite Dr. A.K. Lal from BIS, from Helbla, one of the leading companies, and of course Mr. Vagish Dikshit, he is the chairman of the IIT now. So please.
Hi, good morning all. It's a pleasure to be in front of this gathering in Delhi on a Saturday morning, and I'm happy to see that it's almost houseful now. I was here at 9:15 and I was seeing that more or less there were people coming in, and was really that 9:30ish there were very 20%, but now I see that there's a lot of vibrancy and energy in the room, and happy to see this. And one year, as you rightly mentioned, Vagish Dikshit was likely to be here for this session, but unfortunately due to some other priorities, he couldn't but for sure the presentation should be speaking for itself. So the topic what I have been given today is sustainability by design. What I wanted to also add is a small thing in between as by green by design. So this is the topic of the day. And of course, a quick word about Alpna. This is an Austrian company founded in 1955. Presence in 180 countries, 45 countries, 190 facilities. Little above 5 million euros is the turnover. And we are basically into making bottles, caps, and closures, injected motor parts, and new into oxygen devices as well. And Alpna needs plastics from the Alps. That's the main source, and that's why we focus more on sustainability. And our main motto is providing solutions for safe, affordable, and sustainable living worldwide. A quick glimpse of India: 140 million euros as of 2022, 1,300 crores, 9 plants with 2,100 strong resources. And we started operations in 2006. Now we have also in the world-class manufacturing know-how, a technical center where I get this out of Hyderabad. We also have a future corner which is for training new resources, bringing in more talents in the pipeline, and the first integrated manufacturing technology which we talk about in the next slide. And we are into the field of extrusion blow molding, injection molding, injection stretch molding, anything on the rigid packaging side. And we also believe in a lot of automation to bring in more decoration, value-added services so that the customer needs to fill it. And with an integrated manufacturing facility in place, we also fill products for clients. So that's our new entrant into the industry. And we have 7 technical centers worldwide. The one in Hyderabad is the latest and the youngest one still. We would be 10 years by this year. And we have technical centers in all geographies which takes care of the product development in the regions. So my main topic is about our circular economy principles in Alpna. We work on 4 principles, which is reduce, reuse, recycle, and replace. So these are the 4 R's into this, and we will come to each one of them step by step. And one of the key elements into the reduce is on going into facilities for integrated manufacturing, in-house, lightweighting, and some of the examples related to this. So what we mean is that we are talking about sustainable packaging through reducing the carbon footprint issue, topics in a big way by reducing all unwanted packing, handling, storage, repacking activities when we produce components at one place and fill at another place. So this is the main motto behind it, and this is one of its integrated facility plants which we started a couple of years back in Silvas. And this caters currently to Unilever, which is a market domain information, but we will also start for other clients as well soon. So what we do is we couple manufacturing of bottles and caps along with the filling. So that is the integration which heavily supports on reducing the carbon footprint as well as human interference in the whole process. And then we also have close to 40-45% of our facilities as in-house facilities, which means we are inside the customer's premises and we produce and supply components for them. So this also helps in a lot of carbon CO2 emissions in a big way, where you are not transporting the components, we are always producing components inside, and also reduces a lot of other associated costs as well. Then we also talk about lightweighting, reducing the plastic bottle or a cap weight, or I would say rather call it not just lightweighting, we are talking about the right weighting. The right weighting to make sure that the component is still sustainable in its whole life cycle. But what we would work is trying to find all possible potential solutions to reduce the plastic consumption as much as possible at any point in time. So one of these in this criteria is a component called as a simple one. This we are talking about 250 ml until 750 ml pack, which also replaces the MLPs. So this is also something that a new topic which is entered, which is also in Europe currently in the market, and it has also won quite a lot of awards. This is it's a monorail material. So some of the examples can be this, that we can replace some of the inventories. Some of the industry firms have set up stores there, but we don't want to take that business. We'll try to find something which is suitable. Yeah? Because this is may not meant for anything with barrier what is needed. So this is one thing which is already in the market in Europe. This is for a high-end cosmetic brand, Susanna Kaufmann, and they are using this for their segments in hand wash as well as creams and lotions. And this is something which definitely reduces the carbon footprint quite a lot. They were asked before they moved to this track, and you can see here the difference in the CO2 emissions drastically, close to around 25% is what it is currently. So next is also a similar category in this, which is for us the bushing, which is talking about reducing and replacing sachets. So sachet is a big thing. We also heard about the multi-layer plastic bag or single-use plastic bag, which we are talking about. And this is also a good category, but maybe not for the 3 ml, 5 ml. This can be a solution for 10 ml, 20 ml, 30 ml, or maybe 5 of 10 ml becoming into a 50 ml. At a period of time, we have definitive solutions to really save the planet Earth. So these are some big topics which are happening in the pipeline, and we hope to see that some of these hit the market in India in the near future. So more or less this is all from my side, and thank you all. Thank you.
I would like this opportunity to basically inform the gathering about the various initiatives that BIS has taken in the recent times to come closer to the industry. And at the same time, I would also like to point out a few facts where we need the support of the industry. So basically, I will speak on the two things that we have. Obviously, if you talk about coming closer to the industry and improving our systems, the first thing is digitization. So, in order to increase more transparency, in the recent times, I will say within the last 4 or 5 years, what we have done is, first is we have gone online, totally online for all our activities. If some of you must be associated with BIS in various capacities. For example, some of you must be members of our technical committees. Some of you would be licensees of BIS, to which BIS has provided a license, whether it's a product certification license or it's a certificate, it's a system license. Some of you would be labs. For example, CPET is a lab which is recognized by BIS for testing of the samples that we draw during our process of certification. So each of you or some of you would be associated with BIS in various capacities. So what we have done is for these three major activities that we have, the certification, the standard formulation and the laboratory, we have made an online portal, and there is no physical work as on date. Everything is being done through the portal. For example, in certification, you just have to apply online. There is no physical submission of documents, no interaction physically. You don't need to approach the BIS office. The license will come to you through the system itself. Similarly, in standard formulation also, what we have done is all the documents are now being sent through the portal. Earlier, what we used to have was a physical copy used to be sent, so there was a lack of continuity in the standards that we had. So now that is also portal, and in the laboratory also we have implemented the LIMS system, that is the laboratory management system, information management system, and all the reports are available online. So that is one of the activities that we have done to increase our transparency, because I felt that a lot of people are not aware about the initiatives that BIS has taken to improve its working. And second is, what we have done is people who are involved with BIS in the standard formulation must be aware that in 2018, the Ministry of Commerce came up with the Indian National Strategy for Standardization, or what we call as INSS. And based on that, a Standards National Action Plan was prepared. That was for a period of 3 years from 2019 to 2022. This year, what we have done is we have revised that and prepared the Standards National Action Plan for the next 5 years. That is, it would be applicable from 2022 to 2027. And as a part of it, what we have done is we have held extensive stakeholder consultations both with the industry as well as the ministries. Now the purpose of this interaction is that we prepare what is known as an annual program of standardization, or APS that we call. Because what we felt was that the standardization is not happening in a structured manner, in the sense that sometimes there is a demand for a standard from either from the industry or from the government. So at that time there is a lot of pressure on us for preparing that standard in a very short period of time. So we thought, why not institutionalize this process? So what we have done is we have prepared an annual program of standardization where we have consulted all the ministries and we have requested them to give us the topics or the subjects on which they want us to prepare the standards, and also the industry where they feel that there is a gap between what is there globally and what is the standards which are available in BIS. So that gap we need to fulfill, and if we get a program in advance, we can plan our working in that manner that we are able to provide them with the standards that they need. At the same time, we have initiated what is a process which is known as setting up of standardization cells in the industry association as well as in the ministries. Now the main purpose of this is that we intend to get all the industries together, and we expect them that, for example, if there is a association which is in the paper industry, or there is an association which is in the glass industry, we want them to consult all their members and consolidate their views and send it to us, so that we can take care of the views of the whole industry at one single go. Because otherwise what would happen is, if individual companies start representing, then we are not in a position to take the views of the industry as a whole. So that helps us in making the standards at a much faster pace, and at the same time we are able to cater to the needs of the industry associations as a whole, while at the same time seeing what are the international standards that are there on that subject. So in this global world, when everything is shrinking together, we need to be at par with the global standards, and therefore if you see most of our standards that are there related to paper packaging or glass packaging, they are based on the international standards, whether it is the ISO standards or the EN standards. So that way we are trying to help the industry in order to grow. And another thing, we just had in the inaugural session about sustainability, we are in the process of developing a sustainability framework document. We have consulted all the ministries. We are preparing the document. The draft has already been prepared. And what we intend to do is, we intend to address that in all the standards that we have formulated. We have around 22,000 standards that we have made till date. But only some of them would be related to the sustainability aspect. So what we intend to do is, we intend to address sustainability in all those standards. And as somebody pointed out, training being one of the other important aspects, we have a full-fledged training institute at Noida. That is our National Institute of Training and Standardization. And in the recent times, one of the initiatives that we have taken is, we are organizing exposure visits for the industry as well as for the people of the academia, that is from the colleges, students from the colleges. We take them to our training institute, give them a capsule course, and at the same time we also take them to our labs and the industries which are related and give them an exposure. The purpose of this is that we feel that the students at the college level itself should be aware that standards is a subject which needs to be taken up, because unless and until the coming generation is aware about the quality and aware about the standards that they need, it would be very difficult to do it at that level. In the same pace, what we have done is, we have also started organizing Manak Manthans, what we call as Manak Manthans. This is what we do in this is that when we prepare a draft, we send it for wide circulation, but we feel that the comments are not there. So what we do is, in a cluster where there is a lot of industries, we organize a Manak Manthan where we discuss that document threadbare and ask the industry to comment, because sometimes what happens, industries which are basically from the MSME group, they feel that their voice is not heard at the national level. So this helps us to get the comments at the local level and then take it to the national level. So this is another aspect that we get by taking it to the grassroots level. So all these initiatives are basically meant for improving the standards, and Now coming to the second part where we feel that we need the support of the industry is, if you see the gamut of 22,000 standards that we have, a lot of these standards, around 7,000-8,000 standards you will feel or you will see are pre-2000 standards. So the standards are already 20-30 years old. But we are not aware whether there is any changes in the standard because we do not get comments from the industry. So what we have done is, suo moto, we have taken up a project of revising all those standards which are published previous to the year 2000. Now, but for revising those standards, we need the input from the industry. And these inputs are basically needed in three sectors. One is whether the standard is relevant as on date. It may be possible that over a period of 20-30 years, the technology has become obsolete, that standard is no more needed. So that information we need. Or suppose that standard is needed, but the process of manufacturing has changed, or the process of testing that product has changed. The testing methodology has changed, the equipment, the areas where you feel we need to go ahead and make standards, please write to us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And as you said, I mean, Manak Bhavan se aap Manak Manthan karte hain, which is really good. So that's an old iconic building there. So, and I'm happy to note that you are now in the process of reviewing the standards. So, great, thank you so much. Now let me introduce my next speaker, Dr. Gayatri Menon. She is a senior faculty at National Institute of Design, NID, with more than 20 years of experience.
Textile design, communication design and IT integrated design. But it also means that we are able to work on a lot of diverse projects with this approach. Yeah, so there is material exploration happening in industrial design, we have branding and identity creation in communication design, we have IT related new inventions happening in IT integrated discipline, and it all comes together when we work on industry projects.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to talk about, not what currently is happening, but what I see as the future of innovation in packaging. So currently we do packaging design development, we also look at upcycling. Largely we don't look at recycling so much as upcycling, as to how do you use the current packaging and upcycle it for different purposes. But I'm not speaking about that, I'm going to talk about what could be, in the Indian context, what could be our future in for innovation in packaging design. So currently we are living in a period of unprecedented change, that is what Peter Drucker also talks about. And can we use this opportunity for sustainable, responsible innovation? So as we have seen, right from the Stone Age, that was millions of years, agricultural revolution took thousands of years, the industrial revolution has taken hundreds of years, and now the digital revolution is, we are not talking even in terms of centuries, we are talking in terms of decades. And now we see that every year, every month, every day, we have so many new inventions, new innovations, new ideas coming in. And in this rapid change, as industries, as people who are connected with product development, how do we take it as an opportunity to come up with flexible, adaptive processes for design? So it demands a more proactive approach to innovation. So largely if you look at the pre-agrarian and the hunter-gatherer society as well as agrarian society, we had no problem of sustainability because largely whatever we consume, whatever we produce was sustainable by nature. The problem of sustainability started with industrialized society, with industrialization, mass manufacturing and the use and flow culture. Right? And now we are already seeing the effects of it, and therefore in innovation, how do we build that factor in each and everything we design, and what would be the approaches to it in the Indian context? So if we look at the innovation framework, largely we have design, marketing and technology, or design, business and technology, and we work in the domains of emotional domain when we try to connect with the users and consumers, with the functional domain when we connect technology with the user, and also there is a process domain. But when we talk of design innovations, we are not talking so much about business innovations and technology innovations. We are largely talking in the domain of emotional domain and the functional domain. How do we connect with people and how do we connect with users? So that is the sort of human-centric approach has always been the strength of design. Now, looking at it from a human perspective, if we try to connect it with Maslow's hierarchy, we see that the basic need, human need, is for safety and security. Yeah, and then we have the emotional need, and then any packaging. Emotional need is what helps to connect packaging with the user consumer if it is a consumer product, right? And sustainability is somewhere positioned at a self-esteem, value-driven need in that area. And therefore, we have very few examples because people are not ready to pay extra for that, and it is only for the niche audience that we are looking for sustainable interventions. Now, how do we bring it from that niche area to something which is as basic a primary need as safety and security, which means that any packaging has to have all three components, and we need to bring it back to that understanding somewhere. So I think in the earlier presentation we already heard about sachets, yes, but when it actually came up, it was considered to be one of a very good business innovation or a marketing innovation, because suddenly, people could buy, even a person who could not afford a bottle could buy a sachet. If someone wants to try out something, before buying they could buy a sachet, and that was revolutionary in terms of creativity. But it also brought about a problem. So the notion of wicked problem is that we are not just dealing with complex problems, but we are dealing with solutions which lead to further problems. Yes, this is a very creative solution for one problem, but because we have so many of it now filling, our landscape, therefore it has become a bigger problem. And today we have so many wicked problems that it is not easy to solve these problems because the solution could lead to another bigger problem, and that is what we are facing currently. If we look at the Indian dimension, largely speaking, most of our designs and innovations have been sort of inspired, copied, borrowed from other models, and we have not really looked at our own strength, at what we have and what is our context, and therefore that is where I would like to look at in my presentation. So if we talk about the Indian dimension, our strength is that it is rich in natural resources, we have lots of natural material, we have traditional skills and know-how. Yeah, it is also a reality that just as we have an organized sector, we have a very large unorganized sector, yeah, for which we don't really give much thought on. And the third is we are talking about digitalization and a strong foundation in IT sector and automation where the future will head. So these are the three things which I will briefly cover within the time frame. So first, if we talk about the richness of natural resources, materials and skills, there are some which are commonly known, for example bamboo basketry. These are naturally sustainable. Like we have so many materials around us and we have the technical know-how and skill also. There are so many communities working in it, but it is just that we have not been able to bridge the gap between what they currently produce and what is actually required in the industry. And if we are able to do that, that would be a great strength. We have ceramics and terracotta. So these are all largely student projects which I am showing from NIT because we have a project-based education. So this is some intervention done in the food sector and this is water hyacinth. So this is one example of a natural fiber which actually has very interesting properties. Like many other weeds and grass which grows in water, water hyacinth also grows in water, and many of them have hydrophobic property. Yeah, so when we talk about plastics, we are not able to look for another alternative to it because it has got hydrophobic property which many other materials don't have. But probably research in this area and development in these areas could actually help us to look at that. So, corner grass, water hyacinth, these are all examples of natural fibers which we have, which probably we have not studied in that depth to see what could be its potential for coming up with sustainable solutions. Just as we take natural material from nature, learning from nature is another great idea for coming up with new ideas and innovative ideas. So, biomimicry. We find that nature is one of the best designed. Everything in nature is sustainable. Yeah, you have a tree, the leaves fall on the ground, it becomes fertilizer for the tree. We don't need to talk about life cycle, we don't need to talk about cradle to cradle because it's naturally so, yeah, in nature. How do we mimic some of these processes when we think of man-made products? So here looking at the form-function relationship, so we also have courses where we take inspiration from nature, the structure of it, the process of it, the over here. Can we think of similar system where packaging can be done, where the structure is strong and use it for our own packaging designs? The second is catering to a large unorganized sector. So we find that any change in the organized sector in the typical industry sector, we find the results very quickly and it is produced and consumed in masses. But whereas when we talk of unorganized sector, there is a huge problem. One problem is that they don't really have the resources to do research. They don't have the resources to really think about sustainable solutions, and they also are weak in terms of developing their own brand and identity. So how do we help them not just in environmental sustainability but also in economic sustainability in a way? So again, these are from some of the student projects where they were looking at the food industry, looking at the sort of systems, understanding the entire system. Yeah, right from the root, like the land utilization, fertilizer, seed procurement, storage, transportation till the final end. Yeah, and looking at the food pyramid. Yeah, and saying that which are the gaps, where are the gaps where design intervention needs could actually make a difference. Yeah, whether it is in terms of product, process, or at a system level. And then looking at each person would look at the problem in a different way based on the same understanding of the food system. So this student actually looked at sustainability and sustainable problems in product packaging currently, and trying to understand nature. How can we also look at new designs which are sustainable for man-made products? The third is to cater to the needs of our unorganized sector and enable it to compete with the organized sector, both in terms of sustainable solutions, environmentally as well as economically. And the last is to look at future trends of online marketing and see the opportunities which will come with it for sustainable packaging solutions. Right from the storage, retrieval to the way it comes to the end user.
Thank you very much. Here they I think work on improving design of the product which is being delivered, and so that as mentioned, that it's only that 9-second window what is given to when the customer walks into a store to decide which pack to buy. So that is the time and the design and how it attracts. It's indeed interesting that you are working on learning from nature and also the large unorganized sector. As all of us know, it's only 10% of the companies which are organized in India, and the 90% of the companies are in unorganized sector. So there's a huge potential which is there, and it's good that you are addressing that, and smart packaging, online marketing, all these things are important. And I really like solution which lead to problem when you said that. So as someone said that if you are not part of the solution, you are the problem. So it is like that. So thank you very much.
I would like to thank the IIT team for organizing this conference, the opportunity which has been given to me to speak on the topic of advancements in CI Flexo and photograph technology. So thanks once again for that. A brief introduction about Waymola and Bolshka. So we are a 150 plus years old company. We have been in the market with more than 100 countries, and more than 10,000 machines are running worldwide. WNS believes in investing heavily into R&D, so we are investing almost 8% of our revenues into the R&D, and that results into 1,700 plus patents we are holding in technology and design. So we are not just a machine supplier. We do consult our customers from the project conceptualization and to the project implementation side. So we consult our customers with whatever solutions we have from the packaging or printing or converting. Through the digital solutions, we also support our customers to be more sustainable and to be more digital. Through Technology Center, we support our customers with developments into the products, whether they are from the film side or from the printing side. Through our technical training and education sessions, we support our customers. We try to bring them up with all the knowledge what we have, and we try to share. We always stand by with our customers with services. Now, talking about the printing portfolio, because I'll be speaking mostly on the printing side. We are manufacturing printing machines since 120 plus years. So, I mean, the journey started in 1880s, where we started with, rotary printing presses, and then with the generation change and flexographic and the rotogravure machines came into picture in 1950s. On the flexographic portfolio, we have the Metaflex, which is the most old model, and we have NovoFlex and the V-Star Flex. So depending on the requirement, we offer our machines. So machines can run up to 800 meters per minute on the speed. So, and on the Heliostar, which is our rotogravure printing press, once again, I mean, it's a most sold machine worldwide, and it can run up to 600 meters per minute speed. As I said, we are a technology-driven company, so we believe investing in R&Ds, we believe investing in finding problems for the solution. So there are some advancements which I would like to really share on the printing side. Usually, I mean, it's a big problem of a manual work to match a shade of a brand. So we have a solution called as color matching, which is easy call. I'll speak in detail afterwards. Then the easy call module is more suitable for the very long run jobs, which are the brand specific and color specific. When we talk about the short run jobs, the need of the hour is the job changeover has to be very fast. And that means without changing colors, the job can be changed. So preferably you only change the design and the complete machine and the rate remains the same. That means we can print with the extended color gamut. So flexographic as well as rotogravure machines are ready for printing with ECG. Then the digital solutions which we offer with the Ruby. So the complete machine data can be stored online or on the servers in the plants, and it can bring a certain digitalization to the complete data which is stored, and it can be remotely accessed. 100% defect detection system, which is our homegrown solution, and it's fully integrated into the machine technology, which makes the machine smarter and intelligent. Especially when you have Ruby and when you have defect detection system, when they are integrated in the machine, not something like which is right now available in the market, but which is a unique solution to us, to WNH, which makes the machine smarter and intelligent, and enable the machines to inform on the intelligence part. And finally, last but not the least, I would like to also speak about sustainable printing. We have heard a lot, yesterday and today as well, about films and packagings and different materials. Now I would also like to speak about the printing. So easy call. So in today's scenario, what's happening is when you have a job, a printer print the design, he gets a sample, check the sample with the spectrophotometer and get the delta E. Once again make the color correction in the ink buckets. So it is all human judgment based. It's intuition based. It's something like when an operator either do it by spectrophotometer or they do it visually, but it's a human judgment system. And it's time taking, it's more human judgment based, it generates more wastages. So how can we take it further? So we looked at the problem and we came up with a solution which is easy call, where we can automate the system. This system is integrated on the machine, on the press, and when a sample is being measured with spectrophotometer, it immediately tells, okay, what delta E it is, and there is a protocol, there's a algorithm which is running in the background. It calculates what needs to be done to get that specific brand color, because there is no brand would ever like to compromise with the color. And how to ensure that that color can be achieved, and exactly that within that ready range of probably less than 1.5. With the easy call, we guarantee that this color tolerances can be brought down. There's a reduction of up to 50% into the wastages of substrate as well as ink. And the press return inks, they are minimized by a lot because the system is intelligent, and it can also tell you that how much amount of ink is required in order to complete that printing job. The most important thing, we guarantee that any of the brand color can be achieved within 2 printing maximum runs. This means the job can be done within 15 to 20 minutes. If it is left to the human intuition or judgment, it might, if you have a color expert, you might take 15 minutes, but if you are a normal operator, it might take 1 hour or a couple of hours as well. Looking at the short-run jobs, so where it's very much required to reduce the job changeover times. So how do we do that? So conventionally, when you have a CM biker, which is you have a limited color gamut. So that was the reason that you brought spot colors into the picture to identify that particular brand, or to give that identity to the brand with a specific brand color. Now, what if I say that those brand colors, most of them, I would not say that, let's say 100%, but most of those brand colors can also be achieved with introduction of orange, green, and blue, which is we are trying to extend this CMYK gamut as compared to the gamut which we can print. So CMYK can print probably 60% of the gamut, but with the extended gamut or fixed gamut, we can achieve up to 90% of the gamut, which is actually which can be achieved with spot colors or specific brand colors. Now, what is the advantage? What it brings? It brings shorter setup time. It brings almost no ink wastages because you're not changing any ink. Substrate wastes are reduced by a lot. When you change a design or a job, change the sleeves with a design which is motive, and don't change the inks. Finally, it brings a lot of cost savings for a company who is a converter, and those converters can also
to present myself and my company, and for organizing this wonderful event, which has a lot of global reviews on a local platform, which I think is the need of the hour for our industry. So without wasting much time, let's jump in straight to my topic today. And before that, I would like to take this opportunity to tell I have just tweaked my presentation a bit, because I feel that most present in this audience are very few converters and more of students and who are learning, who have come to gather some information. So I will try to make my presentation as informative as possible, talking more on the process of Gravure and Flexo as my speaker before this did. So I will highlight and maybe make it more informative and less about my products and my company. So the topic for today is the importance of sleeves. I think the sleeves and the consumables, I think, are the most undermined product in the printing and packaging, but yet the most critical. Imagine in Gravure printing, the sleeves and rollers are an impression sleeves that transfer the ink onto the substrate. So you cannot print without my sleeves. When you go to Flexo, the photopolymer plate that has got the image over it is mounted on a sleeve. When you go to the laminating, the transfer of the adhesive on the film, the nipping of the film to the unsupported film is done by the roller. So if you remove the rollers out of the machine, the laminating machine is basically a metal piece with all the encoders, with the web tension and handling control. But the actual transfer is done by the rollers. So that's how important the sleeves and rollers are in the printing industry. So why do we compromise? And why do we need to choose the right rollers and sleeves is something that I'm going to highlight here. Before that, just a couple of slides on my company. Rossini, for all those you don't know, are founded by Mr. Felice Rossini, who is the president of the company and has developed a number of patents in Gravure, Flexo, and partners with most of the OEMs. This is our group companies. We have 8 factories around the world. which is quite a number of factories for a rubber roller manufacturing company. The good part about this is these factory that you see. Can I have a laser pointer if you don't mind? So the factory that you see is there? I don't see it here. So the factory that you see are down there in Italy, that's where the rubber compound is manufactured and then shipped to different factories to maintain one standard quality. There we go. So, yep. This is our bit on the sustainable part as well. Like one of the speakers yesterday, Mr. Pillai, was highlighting that we, the converters, have the maximum carbon emission when you talk about carbon dioxide in per kg of laminate, and that's mainly due to transport. So here Rossini has the lowest carbon footprint because we are present in almost every continent and every city, having sales offices, factories, thus reducing the freight cost, thus reducing the freight time, and playing our part in carbon. A quick product portfolio. We make speedwell sleeves, make rubber rollers, we make flexo carriers and high modulus carriers for the flexo industry, rollers for the lamination industry. This is the sleeve. If you go to see on the left corner, the picture here, okay, so that's the base fiberglass sleeve. So you have a fiberglass and then you have a carbon ring. Now what's the importance of the carbon ring? I'll come to the next slide. The picture that you see on your left side down is the complete sleeve made of fiberglass and rubber, the operator side and the drive side. All the sleeves that we supply in the printing industry are anti-static and conductive sleeves. This is very important in the printing industry. All our sleeves, I repeat, are conductive sleeves. So when I say conductive, that is the rubber is highly conductive. Now in graveyard printing, you should understand the process that when the web passes, most of the presses out here have, static bars, pre-static bars, passive static bars. But when the web enters the nip, that's the sleeve, you have a static built up. And when it leaves the nip, it again has a static built up. So the roller or the sleeve needs to have the ability to absorb the static charge. So we have conductive rubber that absorbs the static charge. From the conductive rubber, it goes to the black portion that you see, it's carbon fiber. So from the rubber to the carbon fiber is in touch with the steel mandrel. So it goes from the rubber to the carbon ring to the steel mandrel and to the earthing of the machine. So in this way, you have a complete passage of static flow. So if there is any disturbances, if the sleeve or roller does not have a carbon ring inside, how is the charge absorbed by the rubber going to go to the earthing of the machine? And that's the reason we see a lot of sparking, a lot of fires in factories, because a lot of people are cleaning the rollers and metal parts on the machine during production with maybe aggressive chemicals, aggressive like solvents like toluene, which is very highly aggressive, and a little bit of sparking can create a lot of big fire in the factory. So make sure that the sleeves and the rollers that you use in printing are completely conductive, completely insulative sleeves. How do you check them? You don't go by the supplier saying, oh, my sleeves are conductive or anti-static. No, you keep checking them. So you have a number of testing equipments in the market. Make sure you test your sleeve. For a sleeve to be anti-static, it needs to be less than 1 mega ohm. If it's more than 1 mega ohm, you don't use it. So that's how you test the insulation value. Another sleeve that we have is the ESA sleeve. There is another technology in gravure called as electrostatic assist. So basically what happens in gravure, there are some films, especially paper, where the dot transfer is very difficult. To have 100% coverage on paper is very difficult at low printing pressures. So during that time, it's utmost to have an ESA system that electromechanically transfer the dot onto your substrate, thus giving you almost 100% coverage at less printing pressure. So when you buy an ESA system, you need to have an ESA sleeve. So the ESA sleeve is a completely different sleeve. We have a non-conductive rubber in ESA, and in this you see this black portion, the carbon fiber. In the carbon fiber, we are putting a 1 giga ohm resistor in every sleeve. So this 1 giga ohm resistor is actually giving the mechanical and electrical values for the ESA system to work. So you can imagine a piece of roller and rubber, the technology that goes behind it. So we have a chip, a resistor inside, embedded inside every fiberglass that is connecting the carbon fiber. Again, Rossini are the only company in the world to have an ATEX or an explosion-proof sleeve. It's called the Red ESA sleeve because when you want this certification, you can get it only when you can manufacture a sleeve without carbon black. Every sleeve has got carbon black to make it anti-static. So if you can develop a sleeve without the carbon black, it's only then the BFR Germany and the other boards can give you the certification for having a completely explosion-proof sleeve. So Rossini have this sleeve in the kitty as well. Again, for the ESA as well, you need to test it. So you got to test the sleeves with a megometer or tester. And in the ESA, you need to have a range of 1 gigaohm. So depending upon the ESA manufacturer, if your sleeves are in the range of say 900 to 1100 mega ohms, you're good to go. So if the range is not within this, please do not use it because there are chances of sparking and maybe obviously your ESA system will not function as well. So you won't get the desired results. So make sure you keep testing your rollers and sleeves if you're using ESA while printing paper. This is of course the internal label of the sleeve where we have the shore hardness and the traceability because in any production you make mistakes, and when you make a mistake you need to know, go back to the drawing board and find out where the mistake happened. So Rossini has got a traceability where we keep each batch of rubber compound at our parent factory. So in case of an issue, we know what happened to the rubber, we can diffuse the rubber and find out what has happened to the rubber, whether the batch was spoiled, whether it was not extruded properly, and then give an answer to a customer. This is a very interesting slide because the B, C and G you see there is our internal names. The B is basically a base nitrile rubber. The C is an SBR natural rubber, and the G is an EPDM rubber. Now you can see from this chart, each rubber has got a good resistance to temperature, but at the same time is not mechanically strong. The rubber that's mechanically strong is not resistant to solvent. So you need to choose the right rubber compound for the right printing application. And that's where we come in, where we tell the customer, okay, what's your printing substrate, what's your inks, what's the solvent, how aggressive it is, and then we decide on the right rubber compound. So you cannot have one rubber compound being resistant to high temperature, being resistant to high amount of solvents. So you need to choose your rubber compounds. Again, this is the slide. We are often asked in the printing industry, oh, can I have one sleeve to print all substrates? No, the answer is no. Like I showed you in my previous slide, each rubber compound has got a certain limitation. In the same way, we need to choose the right shore hardness for printing the right substrate. Now when you print LD is a little flimsy film, it's difficult to handle. So you have a little softer rubber to have more coverage on the print area. At the same time, when you print on paper or sometimes board, like when you're printing on 350 GSM board, we also go up to 85-90 shore hardness, So you need to maintain the right amount of rubber hardness for the right substrate. There's a very colloquial word in our Indian converting industry. So this brings to the end of my presentation, and being a commercial guy, I always like to end with this slide. There is always a person who charges less, so there is always a cheaper product in the market, but make sure that you choose the product that fits your bill. Yes, for some the picture on the left is the ideal one, for some the picture on the right is the ideal one. So have a foresight, when you choose your product, choose it for the long term and not for the short term. Thank you so much, and I hope I was able to give some amount of information on the process. Thank you so much.
To IIP Dr. Tanveer for inviting us here. Very happy to be here, and I value your patience levels. I am standing between you and the coffee break or maybe the lunch break. I'll try my best to keep it very short and try to skip a few slides if it's lengthy. Okay. So knowing us better, Signode is a 100-year-old US multinational. We are present in about 40 countries with 95 manufacturing facilities. We are mostly...
Mr. Santosh, if you can just wait for a moment. He has to leave. He has a flight to catch. So I request Session Chair Mr. Sanjay Bhatia to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Santosh Raj. So please take a center stage. We would like to thank you for your time and your contribution to this Congress. Please give it up for Mr. Santosh Raj, Senior GM, ELPA India and Head of Technical Center of ELPA. Thank you, sir. Wish you a safe flight. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
So you may continue now, please.
Okay, we continue. So we are present in about 40 countries with 95 manufacturing facilities. We are into secondary and tertiary packaging.
A bit close.
Close, okay. Am I okay? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So in India, we have manufacturing facilities in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Silvassa, Dahej, and Rudrapur. As I said, we are into secondary and tertiary manufacturing. Yesterday, we saw a lot of presentations on the primary packaging, how the pack design was made for bottles, jars, cans, and many others. Today, we'll be speaking about the secondary and the tertiary packaging, how to reach the products so finely designed and so nicely manufactured in the as manufactured condition, how to reach those products to your customers. That's the theme of the presentation. So the background of the presentation is that every time a product is handled, it is at risk of incurring damage. This is a very powerful statement for the logistics people, for the people who are in charge of sales. It's so important for you to reach your products in as manufactured condition, as we call it, to your customers. So no matter your product is handled manually or by forklift or by conveyors, it's so essential that you protect it as as efficient way as possible, because it is to reach the long road to your customers, which is often by road, by sea, by air, and some other form maybe. So we will be speaking about corner protection, cushioning, strapping, taping, wrapping, and lashing. So we come to strapping. I'll show you a small video, a very quick video on the strapping machines which are available. This is a shooted machine. Can I have the small audio? This is a shooted strapping machine which is operated by a foot pedal. We have machines which are driven automatically by sensors. So these are very widespread in the industry today. We have sold hundreds and hundreds of these machines to various kinds of industries for automotive, engineering, appliances, you name it. So another example of a strapping machine for the tiles, as you know, they're made in extremely high volumes, and it's very essential that the machine is very reliable, very consistent, and gives the same joint strength always, day after day, 24/7. They almost operate 24/7, the tile manufacturing companies. So then we come to a semi-automatic machine. I'll not go much into this. You've seen this at airports all the time for your baggage strapping. And this is a battery-operated tool where you use, suppose your strap gets cut on the truck or somewhere else, or you need to strap a pallet. So this is a battery-operated tool which is an innovative product by Signode, and you can take it anywhere. It's handy. It cuts tension straps and seals the strap to make a very strong joint. And these are manufactured at our Silvassa plant, which is a very beautiful plant we have. It's a plant within a garden. As you can see, we make polypropylene and PET straps there through our extruders. We have the state-of-art extruders, both at Silvassa and Rudrapur. Where the importance of the strap and the machine running 24/7 is important is in a company which, say, manufactures refrigerators. For example, this is one of the refrigerator manufacturing companies, a US MNC. They make about 7,600 refs a day, and it's so essential that the reliability of the machine, consistency of strap quality, there's a mesh between the two, and it is important that your machine is reliable, consistent, and your strap is of the good quality which is required. Otherwise, downtime is very expensive for these kind of companies. And we come to lashing and bracing. So this is keeping the products intact inside the truck or inside the container. So the question arises, why lash and brace the products in the container? You might as well put your pallets onto the container just like it's seen in the picture and dispatch them as it is. there are a lot of problems faced. The containers and ships are subject to extreme loads, and even before they reach the ship, there's a lot of issues of the roads in India. The interior roads especially, our highways are improving, but the interiors are still a lot to be demanded. And there's a lot of loads on the containers in the ship. It turns, it rolls, and all kinds of forces acting on it. So that's why, like, sometimes you face issues like this. Imagine the containers, the return of the container, return of the goods, and it's so expensive for pallets which have been damaged in transit, and when your customer overseas opens the door and sees this, so a lot of stress and a lot of loss, apart from maybe risk to human liability. So to avoid all this, we do lashing and bracing inside the container. There are various methods. We have strong straps to lash the products inside the container. We have airbags, which are inflatable bags, strong bags, which are put inside the container and keep the products intact. So some examples for durables and appliances, you can see the white colored bags, which are SDP and SDP woven bags with a LLDP bladder inside, which is very strong and which can be inflated very quickly in about 30 to 40 seconds. So all the appliance manufacturers in India are widely using this. We are the largest airbag manufacturer in the world. You can see examples of paper rolls, solar panels, FMCG products, palletized cans, and many others. Jumbo bags, chemicals, liquid chemicals, etc., etc. So this is one of the important innovative thing that we did. We used airbags on a ship for bulk shipment of aluminum ingots and the damage cost. So we try to minimize the packaging cost, and then the damage cost goes up. So let's try to optimize, and thank you very much for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you all together please stand on the stage? Thank you, sir.
Or they didn't. None of it. That's how I take it.
Nanotechnologies, presentation done by CFTRI by Mr. Rajeshwar Mache. So I remember Mr. Chakravarti coming down at 8 p.m. and telling me that, ma'am, the house is still full and people are interacting. So we do have good content and we hope to continue having it that way. We are very happy to have BIS here because whatever advancements we do in packaging, we are not able to implement it without hand-holding of the lawmakers. Hence, we had invited BIS for an all-comprehensive outlook to the conference. This session specially is named after having emerging trends in packaging. So we have talked a lot about sustainability, but we would like to know that how brand owners and how people are looking after this aspect of emerging trends, what are they looking forward to in the future, and how they are altering their packaging subsequently. I'll be having 5 presentations, and I'll be introducing my speakers one by one. The first presentation is on automation and robotics in packaging. That is the 4th dimension to packaging.
We have total 8 manufacturing facilities worldwide, and we have 30 sales representation, and we are available in almost 64 countries nowadays. This is our global headquarters. We are making robot and peripheral equipment here for ourselves as for other OEMs also. Now we are also making temperature control units, then metal handling system. We are a complete automation solution provider for the plastic industry. Also, we are making injection molding machines from 5 ton to 2000 ton capacity in in the packaging segment, then in medical, then automobile, electronics. Why Bitman Group is a, we can say, one-stop solution for everyone. We are doing complete designing, production, integration and delivery of the equipment from one single source. We are making injection molding machines, automation solutions, auxiliary equipments and turnkey products for packaging industry. This makes the Bitman Group a very unique company. We are also offering different process technology in the packaging segment as well as for other fields also, like gas injection molding systems, combi mold systems for the caps and closure industry. Then cell molding in the applications also we are giving for the packaging to reduce the part weight, to inject the nitrogen gas directly in the barrel to reduce the part weight, and that will help to reduce the CO2 emission of that delivery of that particular part to the end user. Also we are giving vari-mold application systems, in-mold labeling, in-mold decoration system, in-mold technology to use basically wood floor for making the end product. Insert molding technology equipments we are making, liquid injection molding systems, then powder molding systems also we are making. That is for ceramic and metal parts also you can do with the injection molding process. Then we are also providing solutions for thermoset injection molding systems. Like we are talking about Industry 4.0, in globally we are talking on this subject, but end of the day no one is ready with the complete solution for the industry. Bitman is only company who are providing these type of solution for the injection molding system. Like we have our own equipments, injection molding machines and other peripherals. Like we can provide you to make a good smart factory. We have smart machines with a smart software, then smart bulk cell with a smart auxiliary equipment. We have smart softwares. You can get all the data from the production, so that softwares are also available with us in the name of Plus. And we are also providing smart services like web service. So if you are in a remote location also, you can access the services on the online also system, and also center monitoring systems also we are providing with our injection molding machines. This is one of the work cell we have shown. Like all the peripherals are attached to the machine controller. So machine controller you can attach with your company ERP system to get the production data. And this is the software for the MES purpose. We have the ready-made solution available with us. And in the auxiliary part, we are making cooling and temperature control systems like chillers as well as more temperature controllers. Then we have robot and automation cells. Then we can automate raw material conveying systems also by drying it and conveying it to the machines and to get the proper data. We have single and centralized conveying system equipment also. Then we have beside the press drying systems, beside the press recycling and granulation systems, and also volumetric and gravimetric blending system. We have a very unique product, water flow regulator. This is basically need of the hour for the person who have using barrel in the machine. So this is a unique. After the meeting, you can talk to me about this particular product also. Then we have range of mold temperature controller systems to heat up the barrels as well as the molds. And Bitman is normally in the industry known for the automation solution provided for the plastic injection molding machine. We are making robots from 5 ton to 4,000 ton of capacity of injection molding machines for different applications, packaging, medical, as well as for electronics, automobiles. We have different range of robots that's which will run from 3 seconds to up to 40 seconds. This is one of the applications I am showing in the thin wall packaging. Why we have to automate basically the packaging industry? Because the handling of the part nowadays it is done by the manual process. So if we automate, the lot of savings will be there, like the manpower will be less required, manpower will be there. Second is safe and hygienic product, you can pack it and give it to the end user. And the same is the stacking of the component, you can do it with the robot itself. Then what is the need of the industry nowadays? They want a high quality product, but with a lesser price. So to automate the system, you can reduce your running cost, you reduce your cycle times, you can increase the quality of the product with a zero defect. Then extended flexibility will be there with the robotic systems. You can add on like stacking and placing on the bins. Then optimization of the production is also possible when you automate your injection molding machines. These are some of the applications you can do it with the robot. Robot is not just for pick and place purpose. You can use it for the stacking purpose. This is one of the packaging part, spoon. Then you can use it for automobile parts also. This is one of the applications for the automatic lens, that is headlight of the part. Then this is one of more application in automatic interior part, that is a front console and IP. So these are some of the applications we have given in each and every segment where the plastic is used. We have automate lot of industries. You name as switches, packaging of in-mold labeling applications, or any type of packaging equipments. Then nowadays, what is the new emerging trend in the industry? Like to basically make the plastic part more aesthetically good. So to make it more aesthetically good, you have to decorate it, whether by the sleeve or whether you can do it with the injection molding process of in-mold labeling process. So we are providing the complete automation solution with injection molding machines and with robots, also with the molds. So you can see the decoration of the paint containers. We can do it drinking cups, then some customer attraction equipments, food packaging. Then nowadays toiletries also is used to decorate it basically with the branding or something, some decorative, you can say for the kids you can make it with Barbie or some additional sticker you can attach it to the in-mold application. This is one of the applications making granulators to recycle the waste and to reuse it again. So this is complete about my company. Thank you very much for giving me a chance.
Let me first thank the organizing committee for inviting me as a speaker for this Asian Packaging Congress. Special thanks to Dr. Tanveer Alam for all the support and the coordination, and a warm thanks to Resma ma'am for the beautiful introduction. In fact, when I was coming, I was thinking that 20 साल हो गया, अब तो मेरा सेल्फ लाइफ बाल का भी निकल जाएगा, अभी तो वाइट हो जाएगा, ठीक है ना? So, jokes apart, so we all are present as a packaging fraternity or something I'm seeing. We somehow contributes to the packaging industries. When every day as we learn something from the packaging and we treat ourselves as a student of the packaging. Okay, when the only difference between IIP and us is that IIP makes the foundation of us and we comes here as with some experience. That's the difference. Okay, so therefore it is always to be an honor to present any of the events of IIP. Okay, as the slide indicating, I have been assigned to share some points of view on the challenges in packaging for shelf-life extension. The subject itself is very challenging. Okay, because the subject itself is very challenging, it cannot be concluded in 10-20 minutes of discussion or something, which itself can take for 5 hours or 6 hours of discussions. However, as my shelf-life for this session is only 20 minutes, I have to finish within that timeline. Okay, okay. And as I am representing Britannia, I would like to share the experience, learning, challenges and the solution, keeping our product portfolio in my mind. Okay. Now, just before I shall start, this logo or slide tells a lot about Britannia, its objective, its ethics, its responsibility, its actions. So this is the last year data. So where we have recycled more than 35,000 tons of plastics, which helps to become a plastic waste neutral organization to Britannia. Let me share you, we are one of the biggest buyer of flexible packaging laminate in India. We monthly consume something around 2,500 ton to 3,000 tons of only flexible packaging. I am not considering about the secondary shipper or the cartons or the trays or the other things only. So altogether also 35,000 to 40,000 tons of plastics flexible packaging laminates we use per year. This is the slide or the target of last year. This year we have targeted 40,000 odd tons, and so far we are working on and going in the right track. Okay, so before I start, let me just share the business or the Britannia portfolio. As ma'am told, nobody in the room who has not consumed any one of the product or something. You can see the products. These are the few products I have kept. The slide will be full. There are various categories we work: the core bakery, the new business, the adjacency category, and the dairy also. So, as you know, very few industries are there, or the genuine organization there who are in the dairy industry. Most of them are job work or something. So these are the product portfolio. Definitely it is attached to one of our product will be attached to you by here. So these all productions, we have more than 85 plants in India, having more than 40 plus brands, having 350 plus SKUs, and having, as we are speaking, 3 more plants are under commission. One is in Barabanki in UP, one is in Tamil Nadu, one is in Bihar, that is getting commissioned. This is a 100-year-old company, having a presence or export to almost all 65 plus countries, entry or pan-India reach. A few of the brands what you can see, if you the pointer, okay fine. So the product, if you can see, this is a treat. Croissant is written. That's a joint venture with the Greece Chipita, and you can the right hand corner, if we can see the dairy cheese. Recently we had a joint venture with Bill, and that is a French-based company. With this, as we speak, day before yesterday only we launched another product, that is Britannia coconut water. You can try out in the market. These are the products range that we operate. So as I told you, as I am representing Britannia, I will try to share examples of our core bakery or our products for an easy connection with you. So for a brand perspective, why we need a packaging or something, that I just want to just touch upon. The picture shows half of the packet is without the packaging and half of the packet is with packaging. So without this, for a brand or something, we will lose our freshness of the product. The breakage in the market will be high. microbial contamination or growth will be happen, or the sensorial, we can lose the sensorial values of the product or something. While we have the packaging, then we can have the barrier properties, whether it is moisture, oxygen, humidity, light or heat. Is a protection, is the protection of ingredients, protects of during transit or something. The aesthetic, someone told earlier, the aesthetic because helps our the brand and the marketing, because जो दिखता वही बिकता है, अगर नहीं दिखेगा सेल्फ में तो you cannot sell something. These are the things. Whole story behind the product, the objective of putting off a product in the market to a consumer, the objective will be to be well communicated to the vendor. For example, our digestive biscuit, if you see that one, you will find out there is a 5 gram, there is a high fiber, that content, and that connects the product with the consumer. That whole story behind the product gives. If you go a product name, I have not marked it here, it's a Deuce. If you go, it melts in mouth, that type of brand connect you guys. Okay. Now let's look at a brief details on the shelf life range generally we operates, or Britannia generally operates. I have kept very few products for the communications. So if you can see the product range, what we are, the shelf life range we operates is less than 1 month to less than 9 months. The product is the left hand corner or the bottom is only 7 days. The bread, if you can get buy breads or something, it is have only 7 in the product biscuits, which is helping us to shelf life. Coating, though it's very primitive stage, but we are doing the coatings also, and that is precisely the reason this is very premature, because that is precisely the reason paper-based packaging still not has achieved that level to replace the plastic packaging. However, the final thing is that ensuring the pack qualities, we are the person who designs and defines the SOP, standard operating procedure. You have to define very critical stringent procedures of checking, so that it should ensure in your house should not go out of the market. That's all from my side. Thank you for your support and time today. I am very happy that I have extended my presentation or my shelf life of presentation to at least 1 or 2 minutes.
Hi, I know it's quite boring. All of us are hungry. Most of us are looking in the telephones. So I promise you 12 minutes, not even 15 pure. Dr. Alam, I'll finish it little quickly. Sir, and I also promise you that today I'm going to tell you something little different about the sector or the packaging part, which I'm sure all of us in this room are quite seasoned packaging professionals, but still we don't know certain facts at times. So, Mr. Asaf, this is a very underdog sector which I am representing. Like basically we are part of the woven polymer processing as a fraternity. It's a large sector, but very, very fragmented, not very commonly known. There's a very typical problem of lot of small companies, few large companies, and global presence of this sector everywhere. It is also still the factories are running in United States to Germany to India, but still we are a large exporting. So I'm going to cover 6 points in 6 slides. Just going to tell you some interesting facts, and the whole idea of being here is just making you aware about us and let you know that this can be interesting place where new innovations are warranted and invited. So this is what I'm going to speak about. So where we are present: packaging, construction, geotextile and carpet backing. These are the 4 pillars of, I think, our sector. So as we are in the packaging conference, next slides onward, we'll go to the packaging. Just I'll show you the products which we are present in. The interesting part, sir, is I will not be shy to say we are one of the, I would say, most efficient plastic packaging available in this world. One very simple example. If you want to pack, say, 1 kilogram of salt or a wheat or a sugar in a poly pouch, very little shelf life, very basic, you need approximately 2.5 to 3 grams. I can pack 1000 kilograms of sand or anything or whatever you want to put in, or I would say medicine or a food item, in 0.7 grams of plastic getting used. A 700 to 750 grams of FIBC can hold up to 1000 kilograms of material. We are more efficient than steel. We are as efficient as most of the precious metals wires getting drawn. So it is very an interesting part, but not really addressed very clearly by the fraternity, because very little R&D has happened in this sector. Very little, I would say, entry barriers, because there is a comparatively low in cost of investments are required to start up with the smaller projects. So the sector is grossly, I would say, fragmented, and that causes a lot of. So today we are going to not touch down the lower 6 parts, only one, upar ka packaging, we are going to talk about. So in the packaging sector, this is what is the contribution like. So where it goes. So large part of it goes in cement or fertilizer or food grain. थोड़े समय पहले VC साहब कुछ डिमांड कर रहे थे that packaging should have certain good things in it, like probably a traceability or artificial intelligence. I think साहब थोड़े से अभी connected नहीं है field से. हम लोग last 10 साल से we are creating a packages. Now we have even printable package where you can track it anywhere in the globe. We have packages which are having a chips which you can even satellite navigate. You can find out where it is going. And even in the larger, like the packaging, the span or expanse of this product is so much that few of our companies are dispatching the material for packing the nuclear power plant waste to the atom bomb coverings, so that they can be tracked, and that can be done. It is getting done in India. So this is a sector which is having a lot of technology already embedded in it. We are greatly embedded. This is one of the sectors where impregnation technology is highly developed, sir. We can make the bags which are not just anti-corrosive, we can make antifungal, we can make antibacterial, we can make anti-rodent. हम ऐसी बैग बना के बहुत सारे देशों के फूड कॉरपोरेशन इक्विवेलेंट्स को सप्लाई करते हैं कि जिसमें यदि आप अनाज भरो तो उसको चूहा नहीं कतर सकता. Not really, sir. I'll talk about it later, why is not that happening. But like a lot of food corporations globally are using that. Another one big, very interesting problem we are solving. Typical challenge होता है जब क्रॉप बनता है तो क्रॉप का प्रोडक्शन बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है तो बेचते ही MRPs go down, the farmer gets. So now we have a packaging which can store in the natural conditions or weathers with the moisture intact for a much longer period. So the farmer has a choice to sell the goods if he has financially well off enough in next season or in the off season, so that he can financially get. So this packaging has also moved to a next level, and there is big need of people like you who are much more educated, who are much more thoughtful, who have got very good training to come and be part of our industry. Sir, it is, we are not very technology savvy. Hardly any one of us uses his equipments, though some of us does the robotics. But the employment generation, we are employed around 20 lakh people in India, and a very interesting, I would say, diversity ratio we have. We have around 30% of the women in our sector which are present, and I think that's very impressive for any industrial enterprises in this country, because the kind of nature or the work which we have, historically India has been a very strong country for the made-ups and the weaving machines, and large amount of our sector is involved into that, and a lot of women are involved in blue-collared operations. we see most of the time women are involved into the white collar on the office jobs. Here, industrial jobs are very capably been handled by a lot of women. With a gross investment of around 6.9 billion in India, 50,000 crores, and a gross sale every year of around 62,000 crore, and a gross export, sir, chapter 39 and chapter 63, as Saab is from the DGFT, he will clearly get this. We have around $2 billion export from India, and my company, of course, I must tell a little about it because they paid my ticket and hotel expense to come here. So we are one of the largest exporters of this product in around 70 countries worldwide. Consumption of polymer. 38 lakh metric ton of the polymer. I will almost, he can vouch for it, almost 40% of the polypropylene and polyethylene made in India is consumed by our sector. We are larger than most of the sectors when it comes to polymer consumption, which is extremely ignored or unknown fact about it. Of course, IOC would definitely agree to it that raffia is one of the most prominent or the largest, single largest buyer sector for any polymer or petrochemical complex. Large part of it get produced in India. Still very specialized additives or grades get imported. We are not the biggest of the importers. 26,000 odd units pan India are present. So the chances of you choosing to work for any one of us in any corner of this country is definitely there. If I'm running out of time, you need to tell me. This is another very interesting thought we need to give. Continuously we are being troubled by the MLPs, multi-layer plastics. Why are we doing multi-layering? We are looking at for different texture. That is the reason that we are looking for different property, different texture, different functionality. So raffia is the only one sector where you will find नॉर्थ में ज़्यादातर समझो मथुरा जैसा शहर है, वहाँ पे ज़्यादा वेजिटेरियन लोग हैं, तो वो कुछ अलग टाइप की चीज़ें खाते हैं देन द सिटीज़ विच आर ईटिंग मोर नॉन वेजिटेरियन. सो द शहरों का वेस्ट सिग्नेचर डिफाइन नहीं हो पाया अभी तक इंडिया में. हम लोगों को वो करना चाहिए कि हर शहरों में क्या टाइप का वेस्ट जनरेट होने वाला है एंड हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू रीप्रोसेस इट, व्हाट आर गोइंग टू बी द फैक्टर्स टू इट. So that is one thing our sector has addressed very nicely. So the people who are passionate about recycling and reprocessing and reclaiming, we call it reclaiming actually. So the people who are passionate about reclaiming, I think we are one of the things because our films thickness are much higher. So we can actually take in lot of things which are comparatively difficult for a thin film or a very fine film manufacturers. सो आई थिंक मेरे 12 मिनट या 13 मिनट पूरे हो गए. अभी तो मैडम ने घंटी नहीं बजाई, बट आई डोंट वांट टू स्टैंड बिटवीन यू एंड बटर चिकन आउट देयर. सो आई होप मैं थोड़ा कुछ आपको नया बता पाया होगा. आई विश आई हैड अ चांस एंड आई हैड more such opportunities happening all across with all you young guys. So what the thought we got from our school at MIT was basically this, that nothing should stop or nothing should come in between. These are the two words we always talk about. So कुछ भी चीज़ के बीच में ये बार बार जो सोच है कि it's very difficult, I know, but it is possible. कपड़े की वापरेंगे. एक हम लोगों ने एनालिसिस किया था, देश भर में जितनी थैलियाँ लगती हैं उतनी यदि कपड़े की बनाने का हम लोगों ने सोचा तो देश में जितनी जगह है उसके 5 गुना जगह में सिर्फ हमको कॉटन बोना पड़ेगा. Is it going to be possible?
Wow, a big round of applause.
Topic which is safety aspects of packaging inks. So first of all, one question to all of you. How many of you believe that packaging is for protecting the food items? Please raise your hand. There are only few guys. I want everybody to raise hand, right? Everybody believes?
Yeah.
I still don't see every hand. So if you want to have lunch soon, please respond with a raising hand. Great. And now, how many of you believe that packaging contaminate your food items? A thought very contradictory to what I said. Great. So a lot of, now it's contradictory for me because more people raise the hand that packaging contaminates. Now this will not go good for the packaging professionals. So let me bring more clarity to this, okay?
Better packaging than that.
Yes, exactly, sir. Thank you. So I'll briefly touch upon just 4 core points: understanding packaging safety, the changing regulatory landscape, because there is a lot that has changed in last 3 to 4 years, and we need to be aware of these things and the direction going forward. Third, compliance monitoring. Like everybody talks about food grade packaging, but what is food grade? Who understands that? How do you implement a food grade packaging? That is something that we need to assess our processes, our systems against that. And then concept of food gradings, and I think this segment will be very interesting, but let's start. So the core point is, today the consumer is increasingly getting aware and conscious of their rights. There are multiple surveys. One of the surveys says that 92% of consumers are concerned about food safety. And consumer awareness on this topic is something that is only and only going to evolve. And what it eventually is going to lead is food safety scandals. So there have been multiple incidences in the past where packaging has contributed to the scandals, contrary to what the basic purpose of packaging is. And obviously, once there is awareness, there will be scandals, and once there are scandals, there will be stronger regulations coming up. And that is a trend that we have seen across the globe, be it Europe, be it China, be it South Asian countries, be it India for that matter. And this is not going to stop here. We are going to get more and more stronger regulations, and we need to be adequately prepared for the changes that are forthcoming. Now, talking very specifically about packaging inks, like what it has to do packaging inks, right? Packaging inks are on the outside of package. Package is there to protect the food item, and I'm consuming the food. Why are you telling me about safety aspects of packaging inks? The answer is, packaging inks in the packaging structure is probably the most controversial component. Why? Because a single packaging ink can have around 15 to 20 raw materials, but can have 60 to 70 chemicals, which means when you talk about a 6 color or an 8 color printing job, you're talking about roughly around, say, 200 chemicals. Now you can understand how an ink manufacturer will control 200 chemicals. And definitely today in the market, these inks can have chemicals which are CMR. CMR means carcinogenic, that can cause cancer; mutagenic, which can alter your genes; and reprotoxic. There could be toxic chemicals, and there could be endocrine disruptors that changes your hormones. And very well established ones are already on the screen. And everyone who has even a brief knowledge of packaging industry knows about these. Toluene. Probably 3 years back, 90% of the flexible industry, I would say, was dependent upon toluene. Till the time FSSAI and BIS jointly banned this chemical. 90% of the industry. Today, 90% of the industry is using mineral oils in the sheet fed inks. Today, 90% of the industry is using benzophenone in their UV phase inks. So the threat is a very big threat, and we need to control it. Now, I'll just take you through how this happens, like chemicals outside, food inside. How does that happen? So the basic thing is, chemicals migrate. It just penetrates through the packaging material. Not probably every chemical, but few chemicals which have low molecular weight. And this has actually caused a scandal in Europe in 2009, when benzophenone from inks was found in the food item, and then the entire product has to be recalled. Another thing is set off. You can consider 1 cup of coffee into the other, like you see in the cafe coffee days or your offices. And what happens is, a printed side comes in contact with the unprinted side, right? And then you sip coffee into it. Same things happen when the flexibles are in the form of laminates. A printed side makes a contact with the unprinted side, and this leads to the contamination to the food product directly, because then there is no barrier. And this actually led to the biggest scandal in the history of packaging safety, which is known by the name of ITX scandal. Happened in Europe, 2005. ITX, a photo initiator, was found in baby milk and fruit juices packed into Tetra Pak at that time. So you can imagine that even the biggest of the companies have faulted on these things, because the awareness needs to be made, and then we need to ensure how to implement these things. Third thing, a lot of people would say that only the packaging which is in contact with the food would have an impact. But a scandal in 2011, which happened in the US, told us that even the secondary packaging can lead to this kind of scandal, this line of contamination, because mineral oils, which were a part of the sheet fed inks, which were the part of the cartons, was actually found in the cereals which were packed in a primary packaging. Because these mineral oils were able to use gas as a medium, so they moved from secondary to primary. Primary packaging was not absolute barrier, so simply diffuse into it and you found it in the cereals, right? So these are some concerns that we need to be aware of, and I think this is a line that I love the most to summarize this thing. It says that it takes years to build trust and fidelity in brands and products, but seconds to destroy that trust. So this is the essence when it comes to packaging safety. Now I'll take you quickly through what has happened, like our Indian regulators. Mr. Ajay has gone, but I can just brief about it. So Indian regulations are changing and they are making serious improvements here. Are they good? Are they not good enough? We can talk about that, but definitely our regulators are aware of these concerns and they are making strong developments in these areas. 2018, FSSAI came out with the regulation where they made brand owners respond. What is going to happen to the barrier properties? Everybody's focused on oxygen barrier. Everybody's focused on water vapor barrier. What about chemical barrier? Suppose today, if 10 ppm of some carcinogenic material is going, and once you reduce the layer, once you get into monolayer, the amount is 10x, maybe you will develop not cancer in 20 years, but 10 years, but 5 years. Second challenge, big challenge, we are talking about recycling, and now we have norms of using the recycled plastics into food also. Now, if we do one mistake, it will cost a big thing to the entire nation. So these are very, very sensitive topics, and while we talk about sustainability in a big way, we should understand that safety is also important. You can preserve the environment, but if you are not healthy, if you have every other person in your family suffering from some disease, what would you do with that situation? How would the nation economy progress? So I think I'll conclude by this, that sustainability is the way to go, but take safety along. Thank you guys. Thanks for your patience.
India Private Limited. I know our energy levels have gone down, but still we can. Thank you very much, Mr. Panda. Thank you, sir.
Authentication that it's not duplicated with all the necessary packaging elements into it. So we all work all through. And let's not forget the very essential thing for us, the food, whichever form it might be, the packaging was very much there. So in both the sectors, we very much served the industry. The packaging safeguarded the global healthcare by being the front runner, by being an integral part of every product. In fact, India achieved the record export turnover. Last year I was part of Mr. Piyush Goyal's delegation to when we signed an agreement, FTA, the free trade agreement with UAE during Dubai's expo. In fact, I was interacting with him and he was very kind to, first time I think have you ever seen during the 40-50 years of history, he tweeted about Indian Institute of Packaging, the Foundation Day. So the previous day I texted him, tomorrow will be so that's how the recognition from the Commerce Ministry also came. He was also very much vocal on the packaging industry, the contribution to the society. The $400 billion turnover achievement, the export turnover, very much packaging is an integral part of all the sectors. So it's a matter of great moment for all of us. And Indian Institute of Packaging, give a big round of applause. We were very organized of the Indian Institute of Packaging for being in the front runner. Even this year, we have a record number of nominations at the highest Packaging Excellence Awards, just like an Oscar of packaging, the World Star Awards. They have highest number of entries and the considerable number of the winners as well. So, well, so we have a wonderful line of panelists. I must tell you, Mr. Niranjan will be talking completely on different, not on the brand production track and trace, but you will be very much interested to know. I will tell you about it later on. But before that, let me introduce my friend, Mr. Nakul Barista, who has been working on this the brand protection for a long time, being the president of Authentic Solution Providers Association, that's ASPA, and also he has his company CEO of PharmaSecure for the last 15 years they've been serving. Nakul is CEO for 2010 to 2015. During this period, he was responsible for building and running technology infrastructure for the fast-growing US-based startup with major operations in India using combination of in-house and outsourced technology teams overseas. He doesn't want me to read out everything, but he has been very instrumental in this field and a big binding force for all the people who are working in this sphere. And Nakul will be telling about how it actually contributes towards this objective. Over to you, Nakul.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just, yeah, okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Indian Institute of Packaging for inviting me to this wonderful event. It is a pleasure to be here and to share with you some thoughts on brand protection and track and trace, on anti-counterfeiting and secure packaging, a subject which I think is very, very important. It is right there, in fact, in front of you in the 3 S's of packaging, the second S, or even the first one, but definitely the second one, how to make packaging more secure and how to make sure that we do not expose innocent consumers to harmful fakes that could cause them to have potentially very bad health effects and also maybe even take their lives. So, as Mr. Chakravarti kindly introduced, one of my 2 roles is I'm the president of the Authentication Solution Providers Association. So I'll give you a little bit of overview on that. I'll talk about counterfeiting in India, which came out of a groundbreaking, first of its kind research that we just did. I'll talk a little bit about the anti-counterfeiting security packaging in India, and then what are the challenges and the way forward. We have been an association for more than 25, close to 25 years, I should say. We're going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. Self-regulated organization. We want to be the voice of the global authentication and traceability solutions industry, and we're the only one of its kind, definitely in India, but you know, probably in the world as well. Our mission is to drive development, promotion, and adoption of authentication and traceability solutions as effective tools to curb counterfeiting and illicit trade. We have 78 members, and we look at doing R&D, we look at promoting adoption, we look at raising awareness, which today is one of the examples of hopefully doing that in a very small way. We want to measure the impact of counterfeiting, and I will share with you some statistics on that in the coming slides. We want to have global outreach and footprint because this is a global problem, truly a global problem, and we want to obviously do things in a very ethical and professional way. We recently, just a few weeks ago, published this report, The State of Counterfeiting in India 2022, comprehensive report in partnership with CRISIL. I'm quite sure everyone would be well aware of CRISIL. All of us have credit scores, and CRISIL does a lot of leading research in India. If you scan this QR code, it will take you to a link to download it, and you will be able to read the report at your own time. It's on our website, but I will be sharing some of the learnings in the coming slide. So, we did a comprehensive pan-India survey across more than 11 or 12 cities, across 6 sectors, where we try to measure what is the extent of counterfeiting, what is the level of awareness of counterfeiting. And we found that 25 to 30% is roughly what people expect counterfeiting is in India. This is what the survey found. About 25 to 30% is the consumer perception of counterfeiting in India. 31% of consumers said they have willingly purchased counterfeit products.
27%, this number is not here, but 27% said they have been unwilling victims. So more people are willingly purchasing. So this indicates a little bit of the challenge. We have to educate people of what are the harmful effects of counterfeits. Obviously, in certain areas, for example, medicines, I'm quite sure that none of us would want to buy fake medicines to give to our family members who are not well, right? But there are other things also. If you buy a counterfeit packaged food product, for example, you may think, okay, it's cheaper, it looks about the same, it will be fine, but it may have harmful ingredients that can cause you damage. And this is something that we must raise awareness of. We did find that 89% of consumers are aware that there are counterfeits in the market, but are they aware of the extent of damage that can happen from counterfeiting? That is the question that we must ask ourselves. So, in terms of harmfulness of counterfeiting, pharmaceuticals and FMCG, the perception was, thankfully, it registered high on the scale that people are aware that these can be harmful to them. But automotive parts was moderate. Now, that to me is a little bit alarming, because if you have fake brake pads, for example, on your car, it can take your life. In fact, the Industry Association ACMA estimates that about 1/3 of all aftermarket spare parts that are sold are fake. So imagine the number of lives that may be lost because of that. Consumer durables was moderate, agrochemicals was moderate, apparels was low in terms of the perception. Penetration of counterfeiting, you can see all across, the highest was in apparels, which perhaps is not surprising to us. Clothes being the highest, automotive was 25%, which should be alarming. Pharma 20% should be quite alarming. This is how people kind of perceive it. 17% consumer durables, FMCG also quite high. Agrochemicals was about 16%. Agricultural products. Another thing that we do is we measure what are the number of counterfeiting incidents that are being reported in the media. And we've been doing this research for the last 4 years. As you can see, the number is steadily rising. It rose during COVID as well. So people have been taking advantage of a stressful situation and trying to put fake products in the market. I'm sure many of us would remember there was an incident where unfortunately some people lined up for the COVID vaccine and it turned out that they were getting water. So we want to kind of make sure that we are the association that is driving ethics amongst our members and making sure that anyone who takes a solution from any of our members is confident that it is at the highest level of ethics. We want standardization, we want industry specifications, because standardization we feel can help drive easier adoption and more cost-efficient adoption as well. And we want collaboration with institutions, industry partnerships to develop sustainable, environmentally friendly and secure products, which I will close with the 3 S's: safe, secure and sustainable. We are definitely aligned with this vision, and we feel it is really the way forward for a strong India and for a strong consumer population of India in the coming years. So with that, I leave you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and I have him for inviting me and to share a thought of counterfeiting as well as nano-optical technique. So, nano-optical image is the most sophisticated and revolutionary innovation in holography. So, I would like to also share a thought on how and why nano-optical is better than the previous generation of the hologram. In hologram, there is also a generation of a hologram. So it's an upgraded version of the hologram from first to second and the third and the fourth. So I am going to focus on the fourth generation of the hologram. So before I proceed, so I would like to tell that who we are and what we do. As a holistic group that's established in 1978, and having a 45-year-old organization. So as a Holoprint, that's a Dubai-based company, and it's an anti-counterfeiting solution. And as the world are moving towards the sustainability, so under Nature Trust, we manufacture 100% biodegradable carry bag, food bags, and other cutleries. And we do a warehousing for Steel Authority of India and Jindal Steels. And we also supply, import and supply to the aroma chemical to major leading brands and the players. And we also supply camphor, pure camphor under the brand name Cambreda. We are into the real estate also, then we have a stake in Ashoka University in Educar. And we have a Dhampu School of Colleges for the underprivileged Muslim girls. And here I am representing Holistic India. Holistic India was established in 1991, so more than 30-year-old company and having a more than 10,000 satisfied customers. So we are an Indian multinational company present in more than 95 countries worldwide. And we have offices across India in 12 cities, in all the metros. And these are the few clients. And we have to proudly say that being an Indian multinational company, we are the largest manufacturer of the hologram on this globe. And we were the founder member of the ASPA. And we are the only company in India who is providing physical solution. As already discussed, physical solution here means physical means security holograms, security labels, security wads, shrink sleeves, and other holographic products. And digital here means the authentication through variable QR code. Not only authentication, you can run the loyalty program, warehouse management, digitizing the automation of the entire process. Even you can track the entire journey of the product, starting from production to warehouse, warehouse to distributor, distributor to dealer, dealer till it reaches to the consumer. And we are A-rated CRISIL, rated by the CRISIL. And we have a dedicated R&D lab. That's a need of an hour to invest. We invest a handsome amount of money in R&D. Because to fight a counterfeiter, our solution has to be like this, has to be upgraded on a day-to-day basis. So everybody know about what is a counterfeiting, but in a technical and the legal word, it's to imitate something authentic with the intent to steal, destroy or replace the original for the use in illegal transaction. So the common problem is, if you see the product in the market, the fake versus original, normal consumer, there is no tool as such where the consumer, which is available readily, where the consumer can easily distinguish between the original and the duplicate product, which are available in the market, even in the online also. So this is not an India problem, this is a global problem. If I talk about the fact of the counterfeiting business, 85 lakh crore to 100 lakh crore in 2019, and the counterfeiting has gone up and increased by 10,000% in last 2 decades. And the fake gold or the counterfeiting goods contribute 3.3% of the world trade. And if we talk about India, 2 lakh crore to 4 lakh crore business, counterfeiting business in 2019, and Indian counterfeiting contribute 3 to 4% of global counterfeiting. And there's a loss of 1 trillion rupees to the Indian economy. You can just imagine. This money can be utilized in hospital, infrastructure, defense. 250,000 children dies because of the using and consuming spurious of the fake drugs. And if you talk about the FMCG, 30% losses of business losses due to the fake product, and 80% of the FMCG.
A chunk of the product we produced in a LUP. Okay, the LUP, the price is 5 rupees, 1 rupees, like a shampoo sachet and all. Okay, so even though if you incorporate any features, it is basically adding up the cost. Okay, so how you are thinking that this will be a challenge, particularly for Indian industry particularly?
I'll answer it in 2 ways. In one way, it is we have to look at what is the impact, what is the cost of not doing anything. There is a cost of not doing anything, which is the impact to the brand. I think earlier in one of the sessions, someone, without naming the company, talked about a very high-profile case where there was tremendous brand value because there was an issue with the brand. So we have to look at it not just the cost of doing something, but also the cost of not doing something. The second thing I would say, and actually there are 3 things. The second thing I would say is that because many companies have been in India, like Holistic, for example, for the last 30 years. I mean, Pharmaceutical has been there for 15 years. There are many companies, so there are a variety of solutions that can be effective at different price points as well. So it is like, there is something for everyone, is one way that I would do it. And the third thing that I would say is there are certain industries, specifically I come back to pharma, that is an industry that I work with a lot, where we, many of us may be aware, there is a drug price control orders that come, and national list of essential medicines, where the government kind of controls the price of medicines to make it affordable. So one of the things that could possibly be done is say, okay, if you are going to be spending whatever it is, and it's going to be, a few paise, it's not going to be rupees. If you are spending a little bit to make the drug safer.
Recycling and all these things. So how you think that this will be a challenge for you?
Absolutely. Controlled by the ink. You have seen, like for example, in Nestle Maggi Masala, there is no holography is there, but there is a kind of the security is there. And so, as you rightly said, we also understand the future, but where we are working on it, some kind of the holography can be done on some other material. We are doing the R&D, keeping in mind the future point of view. But yes, in that case, the digital solution is available in that way. And as far as the first question, I would like to something that even the BD is using a counterfeiting solution. Not only the physical, I am talking about the digital also. Because we have a wide range of solutions. That's only in a paisa. We do understand if there is a product of 5 rupees there, I am not expecting a 1 rupee, or they are going to spend a 10% of the MRP. Not more than 2% or 3% max to max. So we have to provide a solution accordingly. So we have a wide range of the product, keeping in mind the consumer counterfeiting challenges as well as the product value also. Sometimes we bundle it and provide the solution.
Thank you. Only, and I am part of the Ministry Government of India. Chemicals, petrochemicals. What we get actually now, because the packaging aspect, it's good that we are talking about these solutions and the sustainability, the question my previous, he also talked about that. What we are facing now, especially packaging, because as per the regulations from 1st of April, all these manufacturers who are not registered, they will have to stop production. Now, suppose in this hologram aspect, like we are only trying to say whether the product is genuine or not. That is the basic concept. Okay, fine. We know that people have now a lot of these covert features are there. Because now disposing of or end life option, nobody wants as an end life option to dispose it or for landfilling. So they want many sort of circular options. So can it also come along with that packages? So it will also help the after post-consumer effect, because that is affecting more, like as it is affecting the genuineness of the product, customer is affected. I'm going little bit further, because this is also a sustainable part. So can these security features be added, that somehow or other it can, even if it is disposed of, it can be said, no, this is compostable, this is degradable, or you can use this, or this is made of that material. So that will make it further more value addition. So are we thinking on those lines? Because
most of what I want to say has probably already been said. So it will be a repetition, but please don't see it as a repetition, see it as a reinforcement, because the message is important. Okay. So if I can just...
Yeah, before it begins, I just wanted to enlighten the audience. It's not a discussion, plastics or no plastics, or regular plastics or biodegradable plastics. It's completely, we are only dealing with a new material, and he's going to explain.
Yeah, very quickly, I mean, my expertise is only in the food area, so please don't extrapolate what I say to other industrial sectors. They may not be applicable at all. I'm not even a packaging specialist. I came into this field pretty much from a chemical engineering point of view, then changed to food engineering, and then this is one of the topics that I'm actually trying to understand myself. So when I started in this area, I thought, what's the function of a packaging? And yes, the most important function of any packaging is to contain. I mean, that's the most important one. Then of course, in the context of food, it's very important that that the contents are preserved. The contents are protected. Now, when something goes into the packaging, please note it's got to come out of the packaging as well. It can't just go in and sit forever. That defeats the purpose of the packaging. So dispensing is a very important part. And then, of course, once the package starts offering area and other things, we have to use the packaging surface area for promotion, for information, and all these have to be achieved at a relatively acceptable overall cost. Now that becomes very critical, or more critical, in the context of a food product, because inherently a food product is not an expensive product, and I believe a food product should not be an expensive product. Secondly, the margins that the food industry command in a marketplace are pretty narrow. So since the product itself is not expensive and the margins are narrow, it's even more critical that a packaging sort of performs all the functions that it is supposed to perform at an acceptable overall cost. Now, just to, I'm sure you might have seen this type of pie chart since yesterday, but this pie chart again applies more to, in the context of food products. You will see that about a third is paper and paperboard, and that is increasing now. Rigid plastics, another 28%. Flexible plastics, 10%, but that is increasing. Then you have, of course, the traditional materials that were used for food processing, glass and metal. The reason why glass and metal became a part of food packaging was simply because when food industry started, we never had a proper filling technology. Contamination would take place during filling, and so the only way to avoid contamination during filling was to sort of first fill, seal, and then process. So that was so it's the history of food processing that really brought in cans as well as metal cans as well as glass. But if you look at this pie chart, almost 40% of the packaging materials we use are from sources which we consider unsustainable. I have to make an admission here. There are two words in modern English language which are overused. I don't know whether we understand what they mean, but we use these words very freely. And I must admit, I don't even understand those words. One is the word innovation. I don't know what it means. The second is sustainability. Everybody has a different meaning of sustainability. So I try to avoid using these words as far as possible so that the message that you communicate is relatively simple and straightforward. So over 40% of the packaging materials, I am told, are unsustainable. And then the question is, can we manage? So there are two options. What are the options? Either you've got to make sustainable materials, that's one option, or you have to learn to manage the unsustainable materials better. These are, very broadly speaking, two options that are available. Now, let me try and address both these if this is possible. Oops, sorry. If you are talking about, there's been a lot of talk about plastics here, and even though we call them unsustainable, we are still using them, and we'll continue to use them for the foreseeable future. And I'm almost certain that plastics are not going to go away from this planet. They're going to be there. They're probably going to be used less. They're probably going to be used in lesser quantities. But what is important, and I think it's here that we've got to take responsibility, and that is we manage plastics better. It's a great material. Anyone who has understood basic chemistry would realize, I think plastics is one of the best materials which human beings have invented. That's real innovation. That's real innovation. However, we don't know how to use it. We don't know what to do once we have made it. That is the biggest problem. So I think our focus should be on how to use plastics in a more responsible way. I don't know about sustainability, but certainly we have to be more responsible about it. Let's say, yes, plastics cannot be used forever and there will always be pressures and there could be other problems with plastics that we don't know about. And then we have got to go for alternative materials, and these are generally natural words. That has happened in the past, in fact. Some of the earliest compostable packaging, the packaging degraded before the food. And that is a tragedy. So, when you are talking about natural materials, yes, environment must degrade it. However, that degradation must not be very fast. It's got to occur at a pace that suits us. That's the important point. And very broadly speaking, you have biodegradable materials and compostable materials. Now these terms have very specific legal definitions. I'm not going to go into the legal definition, but very broadly speaking, from a scientist's point of view, a biodegradable material is one that is broken down by environmental microorganisms into water. Now, even these so-called compostable materials, there are, very broadly speaking, two types. Some which are home compostable, some which are industrially compostable. Now, what that means is, compostable is compostable, but when you say home compostable, you really don't.
The global packaging ambassador.
Take care of all that kind of plastic. And for bio-based plastic, refer to renewable resource used for produce certain plastics. Such as you can make polyethylene from sugarcane and then ethylene from sugarcane and make it for polyethylene. Then biodegradable polymer with approved biodegradability can made from either renewable raw materials such as starch-based polylactic acids or PLA, polyhydroxyalkanoate, or PHA, cerulic acid, or casein. And they can made based on petrochemical or synthetic polymer such as specific polyester, specific polyamide, and polyvinyl alcohol. That's why we need to have the certification in order to make sure that plastic that we're going to use is biodegradable or compostable plastic, such as from BPI, DIN Cernito, or from Japan. Different logo can be used. And for example, polylactic acid is biodegradable and compostable. They can produce from renewable resources such as corn and cassava. It have a clear and transparency look, and its oxygen transmission rate is similar to polypropylene. You can see in this photo, it can be made at a film, a cup, or a bottle, and after put in under soil for a while, like 3 months, it can be totally degraded under the soil without give any toxic substance. It can come only water and carbon dioxide. That's why we call it that compostable plastic. And a nice third example, I got this one from Israel from long time ago. I put it in my office. Several months after I take a look, it degrades into several small pieces. It come from polylactic acid. And another example of PHA or polyhydroxyalkanoate, it can make in resin. Several applications can be made use of PHA and can be cup, bottle, and after 9 months, it become like this in compost for 9 months. 9 months in compost can be like this. And another example is bionolil. Is actually the chemical substance is PHB. It can be PBS or PBSEA. It depends on the chemical substance, but its toughness, tensile property similar to polyolefin. Flexible, low flexure, elastic modulus is low gas transition temperature. The processing ability can be processed by processing machine for conventional polyolefin. Thermal stability during processing can be processed by extrusion coating and forming. Easy for printing and coloring with pigment. Can select processing temperature from wiring. These are the example of PBSA. Another example would be the one from petrochemical Ecoflex. Ecoflex is a polyester from BASF. So after 4 weeks under 55 degrees Celsius, it will become like this. So they can make for like compostable snack bag. This one example from the US, paper, nation fair, metallized cellophane, and Ecoflex. 6 months completely biodegradable with no harmful substance. You can see after 4 weeks, it will become like this. And as I told you before, the Ecoflex is biodegradable aliphatic aromatic copolymer. This one from petroleum base, not just only renewable resource. So the challenge for biodegradable plastic, at the last speaker also mentioned, there are low resistance to heat, low water barrier, low water vapor and gas barrier, poor mechanical property, low tensile impact strength, and process efficiency. And also some difficulty for making multi-layer film. Sometimes for food packaging, we need multi-layer film in order to extend the shelf life of the products. If you can use just only single layer, it's good for recycle, but the shelf life of the product may be limited. And there are also different on degradation rate in real environment. During composting condition, it can be degraded well, but for the real world, you put it under landfill, maybe sometimes the plastic won't be degraded at all. And lack of suitable testing method. The chair session also mentioned some limit testing facility in India. In Thailand also have several laboratory that can provide the test for this one, even the standard test method that most international standard can be accepted. And there also have the problem, sometimes restriction used in some applications such as automotive or electronic. And the last speaker also mentioned there is some migration in for food packaging also that limit. So for today, my presentation, I will come to next part is about the standard and testing, which is my concern today. You can see here we have several standards for biodegradable and compostable plastic. It depends on testing condition and also depends on testing media. And for biodegradable and compostable plastic, we need to follow ISO 17088 or EN 14995 for European market, and for the US market, it should be ASCMD 6400 or Australia for ASC 4736. The test standard criteria for biodegradable and compostable products are quite different. For industrial compostable product, we have, according the standard, the criteria should be more than 90% biodegradability within 180 days and more than 90% disintegration within 90 days. And also have to pass the test for the pan toxicity test, chemical characterization, and according to the Australian standard, they also need to test for earthworm toxicity test with Yersinia foetida. And for home and gardening composting, almost the same thing, need to pass 4 of these criteria, and including earthworm toxicity test and no substance of very high concern, such as lead, mercury, or something like that. For bio-based products, that two criteria for this to become bio-based product is at least 20% of bio-based carbon content be found, and 50% volatile solid organic content could be found. And for testing for biodegradability in marine, the criteria should be 60% biodegradability within 10 to 90 days at 30 degrees Celsius according to SAMD 6691, and more than 60% biodegradability after 180 days at 20.5 and according to ISO 18830. Let's quick a look. I would like to introduce the testing facility in Bangkok in Thailand that we can do the composting plastic testing and preliminary testing. If anyone needs more information, just contact me because I think I am running out of time. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhatter, for your presentation, which was basically an overview.
Packaging. But frankly speaking, if you talk about the IFSA, if you talk about in India, how many nanomaterial has been approved so far, especially in the packaging? That is a big question. So even though I was for last 1 hour, I spent to find out 10-year-old my research. But still it is valid because it is not has gone to the commercial stage so far. So I would like to just quickly mention that we have started Center for Sustainable Polymer for Masters and PhD programs at IIT Guwahati. Highlight has already been given by Dr. Professor Chattopadhyay. I am working on most on bio-based biodegradable plastic, whether it is related to the beginning of life options as a bioplastic or end of the life option as a biodegradable polymers due to various advantages in a carbon footprint. So as it is discussed that what is bioplastic and biodegradable plastic, so I am skipping this slide, but we are very much into the bio-derived plastics like polyhydroxyalkanoate, PLAs, and many other petrochemical-based biodegradable plastics, whether it is a PCL, PBSA, PBAT, and so on and so forth. However, we are determined to design these petrochemical-based biodegradable plastic with a renewable feed-based plastic. See here, my topic is bringing a nano bio into the packaging. So we did a lot of investigations to develop a nano materials, whether it is a nanocellulose, whether nanosilk, whether nanochitosan, all these biomaterials, we brought it into the packaging. Some of the glimpse I'm going to show, the time is quite limited. So I'm skipping the state of plastic in India. It is really very narrow window. We do not have any commercial unit so far with us. Though some of the plastic considered to be compostable, Madam has already mentioned the PLA, but it has to be have industrial compostable. We have to go long way in order to establish this class of a packaging material and these additives basically, and a lot has to be done in as far as the R&D and the commercialization is concerned in the country. As Madam has mentioned, the PLA is versatile material. It's also having a unique limitations, like if you could able to replace a PET with PLA, it is we have to reduce oxygen transmission rate, water vapor transmission rate significantly, even though we cannot use for this class of a material for high temperature applications. We have done a lot of activities on this. Right now I would like to tell you, we have come up with this 200 kg pilot plant of development of some class of the PLA, PCL and these copolymers at IIT Guwahati. Time is limited, so I am just skipping this slide. If you really would like to bring a PLA and replacing a PET for a stringent food packaging application, we have to replace oxygen transmission rate by 10-fold and water vapor transmission rate by 2 to 3-fold. Many has been done. Lot of nano interventions has been made. Initially, it has been made to disperse the inorganic material, inorganic clay into the polymers, and in order to reduce the oxygen transmission rate, but could not able to successful. A lot has been done, but only 60% reduction in OTR has been done because there is a constant of the diffusivity coefficient. However, though we have also made an attempt trying to bring these nanomaterial into the PLA, and we have made these kind of the various product, rigid product you can see. We have done the migration test. Though we have done all the analysis analysis like AF4M, MALS, ICP-MS analysis, and we could able to figure it out. These nanomaterials migrates into the food simulant. And later on, we figure it out, though, when we talk about putting the clay and especially this modified clay into the polymer, when we have done these clinical trials in the liver, we could able to find out, though inorganic clay is not having a toxicity, however, the modifier present into the clay is really having a toxicity effect. So we have to be vigilant enough while bringing the nanomaterial into the polymer matrix. See here, later on we figure it out why we are going to disperse the clay into the polymer matrix, take the sugar palmitate, add into the polymer during extrusion process. You could able to reduce oxygen transmission rate by 60 to 70%, and that is the food grade materials. And we could able to find out nicely distributed nanoscale sucrose palmitate in the melt extrusion process. Many attempt has been made by us to bring the biopolymers into nanobiopolymers into the polylactic acid. One of the example, we disperse the chitosan. We hydrophobize the chitosan. You can see the nano dispersion of the chitosan. We place it into the PLA during extrusion process. You can see the oxygen transmission rate has been reduced by around close to tenfold, and water vapors around around twofold. Many such attempts, if you're really going to see, if you replace the PLA with the PET, we have to reduce oxygen transmission rate, and there are with certain nano interventions we could able to come up. But there are many issues associated to whether it's a migration issues and toxicity issues are very important. That's why bringing a nano biopolymers could be a possible solution. Similarly, if you're really going to take this nanocellulose and disperse the nanocellulose with the PLA, you can change the crystal morphology of the neat PLA, and when we are dispersing the nanocellulose into it, it's going to be an impermeable sheet of PLA by reducing and also reducing oxygen transmission rate. We are processing at the industrial scale, semi-industrial scale at IIT Guwahati of these class of materials. I'm just skipping. So you can see the blown film setup, what we have it, and we are optimizing our process to have a low-cost biodegradable packaging and mulch films. Even though we have tested these class of material for agriculture aspects, though time is limited, sir, I'm skipping the slides. Even though if you're really going to see the composite materials, we are, so these kind of, this is basically a modified PLA based trays what we are developing. And frankly speaking, by adding a nanocellulose and nanocrystal, we could able to recycle the PLA multifold, and we have tried for 3 to 4 times, even though tensile strength has been reduced. But the fact that even though the tensile strength is close to the LLDP more than 30 megapascals. Even though when we really would like to go for a PLA as a heat stable polymer, then we could able to go with the stereo complex polymer, and the technique what we have adopted, this is the industrially viable technique where the normal stereo complexation through the melt extrusion process going to lead to the 70 to 80 degrees centigrade. However, in my case, the heat deflection temperature has gone to the 140 degrees centigrade. And we are also doing a composting and all this. Thank you very much.
I have made a small package which one can carry, 1000 drops of water which costs 150 rupees. So it can serve a family of 4. 150 rupees serves a family of 4 for a month, which is a very low cost intervention so that your users are healthy for a longer time and they don't fall ill. So sale has been increasing in this product. So a lot of packaging thought goes inside into businesses, into users' needs understanding, and how do you adopt these to make a product. So from these two backgrounds, I have tried to communicate that we are looking from concepts to reality, making products to the market. Though I am a researcher and a faculty, but I encourage startups. But I work primarily on environmental sustainability as my research area. The concept of environmental sustainability came into my mind when I was a student 20 years back, and I was trying to make lampshades out of jute threads. So these are some concepts of lampshade which I made by my own hand, and it got embedded in my mind that I have to do something for sustainability. So from here on, when I became a faculty in a private institute, I started writing research papers, because I was very much worried by the amount of or the volume of packages which was coming in the market. You go to any mall, small mall or big mall, everything is packed. Everything has a wrapper, in fact 2 or 3 wrappers. You consume the inside product and your wrapper is out in the Indian market without any control. You don't have a very much proper system of recollect and reuse. So I was thinking, and I wrote papers like living with chunks. How do you live with chunks? Killed by plastics. So I took case studies to sensitize myself, and this set on the track for my research. And further, I did my PhD into framework for environmental impact assessment of product packaging. So if you have 2 packages, say you have 2 chips, Pringles and Lay's, or whatsoever different brands, how do you know that which has a better optimization of resources in terms of transmission of materials, in terms of usage of renewable energy and so on and so forth? So you can have a star rating for these 2 products. So this was a research work in that direction. And also because of my design background, a lot of work went into understanding the users and coming out to a consensus. So if you have 20 parameters to be addressed, how do you come to a consensus? So Delphi is a very good technique, Delphi research, of coming to consensus into a focus group. I very explicitly wrote that, and that has been published in journals, and these 2 papers are available online from my PhD. So I have my PhD students also now writing papers. Vishal Srivastava is working on biodegradable fiber-based composites. So how you can make a decision support system in which you will be having a rigid composite, and your decision support system suggests that this rigid composite with this kind of functionality can be replaced by such kind of biomaterials. And this is one paper in that direction. Amit is another PhD student who is working on circular economy concepts. I'm trying to trigger what all areas I'm working, so at the end of the day, if we can connect, we can see for collaboration and work together. So that can be a good outcome from this discussion. So a step towards creating sustainable automobiles is a research area. How the circular economy concepts can be brought. If you consider automobile as a product and its cover or embodiment as packaging, this packaging has to have a life cycle, it has to have a recycling, the technologies may change, and how may you adopt to the newer technologies, that is what he is working on. So we have some patents and intervention into material science through one of the PhD students. This is novel rice husk fiber reinforced biocomposite film for packaging. So we have used rice husk with some natural ingredients. One of them is lemongrass, and we have tried to make thin film which can be making biodegradable packages. So these are our research students I wanted to highlight over here. These are the research areas. And so if we say design for sustainability, eco-design, design for environment, these are the subjects which I am teaching. We are also talking about many kind of contexts, but the whole context is only because of sustainability and environment. And many times we lose the main essence of sustainability and environment. So though we try to adjust people, planet and profit, there are various different terminologies which have been used for sustainability. If you just go around, you will find eco-design, climate change, water conservation, everything happening. But if the sustainability is not being implemented for environment, it is of no use. So let us collaborate on sustainability. Thank you.
ClearPack is basically, we are a packaging company, and so ClearPack is founded in Singapore, and we are now a 30-year more old company. We have a global presence in Europe, in Southeast Asia, in Middle East Asia, and we serve the customers with all kind of packaging, whether it's tertiary, secondary, end of line, and all kind of a packaging solution. So for today, my topic, these are some reward and recognition what we are getting year by year. So today's topic is sustainability through automation in packaging. So we heard a lot of things today about the packaging, Now the biggest question is how to sustain, So there is only one answer, that we can only sustain through the help of automation. And when we say automation, so there is a need for efficient packaging to reduce the material waste. So you have seen lots of packaging in the market, whether it's a shrink wrap, whether it's a RSE, or whether it's a wraparound. So we are the manufacturers who make these packagings, and we make it available for the consumer, for the customers all across the globe. So here are some videos and processes which can suggest how we are helping the customer by eliminating the number of use of very bulky packaging and converting them into a very smart packaging. So we ensuring that the product is safe for the transportation. Along with that, it is also have the good strength. We are making a solution where you can convert a standard RSC case, that is regular slotted case, into wraparound. You can reduce the lot of surface area of a case to around 30% by using different kind of a packaging methods. So there are a lot of solutions which we are developing and which we are helping our customer, so that they can reduce the material waste or the packaging waste, and can do the packaging in a smart way. So the next topic, the next point for the sustainability is by improved resource efficiency. So this is another important aspect which we have to handle when we are talking about the sustainability. So that is improving through Industry 4.0, You know which machine, which kind of product has to be reached to the consumer, which kind of substance is important for the customer. So Industry 4.0 is also very crucial part of our sustainability. So with the Industry 4.0, you have that kind of a technology where you can do all kind of easy maintenance of your machine, where you can actually see how much you are consuming the actual power, what is the consumption of your lube oils and all in your machines, and you can reduce those consumption. You can reduce the wastage of the electricity, you can reduce the wastage of the lube oil which is used inside the machine. So this is kind of a predictive maintenance technology which has been implemented all across the machines we manufacture. Next is increased recycling rates. So the sustainability will also be attained if we increase the recycling rates. But as I was hearing from many professors that Germany is doing very good recycling rate. They are recycling at a highest of 66%. And what is the biggest challenge in recycling? That is the segregation of the material or the sorting of the material. And automation is only one solution which is most economical, most effective. Using the technology of machine learning, AI and computer vision, we are able to segregate the complex material in a simple way, in such a manner that it is not harmful for a human being. There are a lot of products which require certain kind of medical aids for a person who are segregating this kind of a material. But with the help of technology, we can ensure that this work shall not be done by the human being, and with the help of automation we can multiply this at a higher rate, and it will become easier for the recycling companies to use this technology and get more and more recycling in a day, recycling of waste in a day. So the next point for the sustainability through automation is reduce the carbon footprint. This is a very important point. Nowadays, in early 90s, we were not much bothered about the electricity, we were not much bothered about the pollution, but now, even starting from the automobile till machines, everyone now start talking about how they reduce the consumption of electricity. So these are some points which are helpful for reducing the carbon footprint inside any machine, any kind of So I will just take 1 more minute. So implementation of automated manufacturing system, use automated transportation system. So this is my last slide where I want to emphasize to improve supply chain efficiency. So this is also very important point where we can use automated process such as warehouse automation, enterprise resource planning, collaborate with the suppliers so that we can get only that amount of product which is currently required. And the last one is the use of data analytics. This can be done using predictive analysis, machine learning, and artificial learning. So with this, I'm just closing my presentation for the day, and I hope it will be useful for you. And for any detailed introduction and any information, you can contact us. Thank you, and have a nice day.
You may be a manufacturer, you may be a supplier, you may be a testing laboratory, or you may be a consumer. So if it is up to you that what type of content you are willing to have in that. So for that purpose, you need to be engaged in the standard formulation activities, be it at the national level or international level. And if we are deciding that we will wait for the time or the right time to come when we will start contributing in the standardization activity. So I would like to say to my dear friends that the world is not waiting for us. They are going very fast, because if most of you people are trading with Europe or other countries, there are a lot of regulations coming here, and it is very paining to note that while India is importing a lot of things, but the export from India is very less. And in that context, if Government of India or our Prime Minister has said that India should look into becoming a 5 trillion economy in next coming years, then we have to think very strongly that how strong our standards are. So for that purpose, we need to engage in that standardization activities. So for that purpose, BIS has taken a lot of initiatives to engage with stakeholders, and we are getting a lot of inputs and accordingly modifying and revising our standards. But still, the level of participation need to be enhanced. And in that note, I just want to mention that taking the quality culture in India, government is also taking a lot of initiatives, and they are bringing a lot of quality control orders to maintain the quality of products. And at this time, people are facing a little bit difficulty that we are unable to comply with the requirements or the regulations, and our business is being hampered. But we have to face the truth. If we are not participating in the standardization work, then we will be left behind. And with this note, I would like to conclude with one sentence. It is the time to decide whether we want to be standard maker or standard setter, or we want to be standard taker. Because if you are the standard taker, so other people will decide what you are going to have. Otherwise, it is your choice if you want to tell the world that what we want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I request the session chair to please felicitate and present a token of appreciation to the co-panelist. Mr. Chakravarti, to please step forward. Can we have the planters? Thank you so much to ESPN for your support. And now we'll be celebrating our silver partners, AGI Glass Pack, and giving us this opportunity to felicitate you. Thank you so much. Meta, Mr. Aman Bandri from Meta. Thank you very much, sir. Team ITC, Mr. Buba. Thank you very much, Genesis. Hindustan team. Eros. Thank you so much. Announcing in the order of third, second, first. Congratulations, Paul.
I'm a research scholar. Thank you.
Category.
Springer has announced a €200 award for the first prize.
Springer announced $200 worth book coupons to the first prize winner. Many congratulations.
What was the topic? Okay, I see. Very nice. Thank you.
And now we'll end for poster presentation. The posters which are placed towards the end we call.
Oh, very nice.
The second, Arvind has a lot of following on YouTube from IIT Delhi. So he gets a biased round of applause. Second prize.
Second prize also. Okay, again a €200 books from Springer.
Springer, right, that is sponsored by Springer Nature. The prize winner for oral presentation and the first prize winner for poster presentation. So double congratulations and a louder round of applause for who gets a $200 worth book coupon. $1 worth book coupon.
It is euros only, not
Euros.
Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you.
We request all the jury members to please join us on stage.